Chapter 4884 Your parents are demons. Yun Chujio looked at Buddha's candle suspiciously. What secret? Clown candle, if you dare to deceive me, he'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Buddha's candle cursed in its heart. It was living a life worse than death now, alright? If it had known earlier, it would not have provoked this female demon in the first place. Sigh, it was all in tears. Although Buddha's candle grumbled in his heart, he said obsequiously, how would I dare to deceive you? Besides, I can't deceive you. Alright, stop wasting time. Tell me what secret. Yun Chujio said impatiently. Buddha's candle was furious. He was an existence that could summon wind and rain in the Zen sect, but he had been defeated by this female devil twice in a row. He was really unlucky. I once heard Wu and the three young monks talking. I think the two people locked up are your parents from the devil race. Buddha's candle said mysteriously. Yun Chujio was shocked. The devil race. How could it be? Yilan was from the Yi family, and Yun Fongjin was from the Yun family. It was a certainty. How could it be the devil race? Buddha's candle was afraid that Yun Chujio would think that it was lying, so it said with confidence, what I said is true. I heard the three young monks say it with my own ears. Moreover, they didn't want to lock up your parents. It seems that they were ordered to do so by someone. Yun Chujio was stunned again. Ordered by who? Who can order the Zen sect? Then I don't know. After all, I have been asleep for so many years and I don't know many things. I also lost a lot of memories. Speaking of which, it's also my fault. It's my fault for sending a few. Buddha's candle originally said that it was all your fault, but he swallowed his words. Yun Chujio did not continue to force Buddha's candle. She was puzzled. How could her father and mother be demons? Could it be that they were demons in their previous lives? That was the only possibility. Then the question came. How did the person who ordered the Zen sect know that her parents were demons in their previous lives? Also, if her parents were demons in their previous lives, why were they reincarnated into humans? She recalled that Di Biming had said that the seal in Shui Wuji's body was related to demons. Could it be that her parents were related to Shui Wuji in his previous life? The wick of the Buddha's candle flickered. Seeing that Yun Chujio was deep in thought, it provoked the little flame once again. The little flame had not fully recovered yet, so it did not know that the Buddha's candle was tricking it. It immediately rushed towards the Buddha's candle. Buddha's candle immediately cried, Master, help! Help! The little flame wants to kill me. Yun Chujio was in a state of turmoil. She immediately shouted at the little flame, are you done? Get out of my way. The little flame wanted to say that Buddha's candle had provoked it first, but it could not speak. It felt extremely wronged and flew out of the door in a fit of anger. However, by the time she left, the little flame had already disappeared. Hong Ling, could you have seen a cluster of flames jump out? Yun Chujio asked Hong Ling, who was guarding outside. Hong Ling shook her head in confusion. No, miss, is there a fire in the house? Yun Chujio did not agree. She anxiously jumped out of the courtyard to look for the little flame. Unfortunately, after searching for a long time, she still could not find the little flame. She used her spiritual sense to summon it, but it was useless. The little flame seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Chapter 4885 I treat the little fairy like my own mother. Buddha's candle looked like an obedient baby, afraid that Yun Chujio would vent her anger on it. However, this fellow was very happy in his heart. It would be better if that broken flame never came back. This way, it would have a chance to occupy the right palm of the female devil in the future. Hey Shinjio was already in a bad mood because of what Buddha's candle said. Now that the little flame had run away from home again, one could imagine how frustrated she was. She did not have the time to clean up Buddha's candle. After keeping it in her left palm, she wondered where little flame had run off to. Because she was worried about little flame, Hei Shinjio did not even eat dinner. Buttface said sourly, little fairy, you don't have to worry too much about it. It's not that my words are unpleasant, but you are its owner. What's wrong with saying a few words to it? You often kick me. Did I run away? If I run away you will break my legs. You are spoiling it too much. You helped it find the fire marrow and the deviant flame. It is a white-eyed flame. There aren't many of it, but there aren't many of it. If it is willing to run, let it run. It will come back sooner or later because there isn't such a good master as you. Yun Chujio sighed. It is different from you. Its intelligence hasn't fully developed yet, so its mind is very simple. It must have thought that what I said before was really to make it leave me, so it ran away in anger. If people discover it, I'm afraid the consequences will be unimaginable. Dog 2 curled its lips. Does it make sense that it's weak? Who asked it not to develop its intelligence? It should learn from me. The little fairy has abused me 1,000 times. I treat the little fairy like my own mother. Yun Chujio. At this moment, the sky had completely darkened. Yun Chujio's heart was in a mess. She was not in the mood to cultivate. She lay on the bed early to sort out the recent events. In her daze, she heard a faint noise coming from outside, and the noise was getting louder and louder. Yun Chujio frowned, got up, and went into the courtyard. Then she jumped onto the roof. From afar, she could see many flames soaring into the sky. The entire imperial city seemed to be in the midst of the flames. Yun Chujio's head buzzed. Even if she used her heels to think, she knew that this was definitely the doing of the little flame. Was it crazy? It actually set fire to play. It really needed to be taught a lesson. The guards in the manor saw Yun Chujio and wanted to stop her, but when they saw her stern eyes, they immediately became terrified and watched her leave the manor. In the Lan family's main house, Mu Zian was talking to an old man. "Miss, I think this fire is quite strange. It seems to be caused by a heavenly flame or fire marrow. I'll go and take a look. If I can capture it, it can be used to aid in pill refinement," the old man said. "Elder Ju, be careful," Mu Zian said gently. Elder Ju nodded and disappeared into the night with a few leaps. Elder Ju deliberately avoided the great elder's courtyard. As for the others, Elder Ju did not care at all. Almost as soon as Elder Ju made his move, Lan Luochen received the news. He had a water spirit root and was not interested in fire marrow or heavenly flames. Therefore, he did not pay too much attention to it and only asked his subordinates to keep an eye on them. Elder Ju left the Lan family's main house and took out something that looked like an array disc. When he saw a light flashing in one of the directions, he was immediately delighted and rushed in that direction. Soon he found a cluster of dancing flames in an abandoned house. His eyes immediately lit up and he took out a pair of gloves and put them on his hands. Then he grabbed at the small flame. Chapter 4886. The Little Flame of Regret. At this moment, the little flame was having a great time. Didn't I tell it to get lost? If it wanted to get lost, it would get lost. How wonderful it was now. It could play however it wanted to. It wanted to turn this city into a sea of fire. Although the little flame did not have full intelligence, it knew that it would be easily discovered during the day, so it only began to act at night. It was a 10,000-year-old fire marrow. Although it was only a young body, it was too easy to start a fire. It could easily burn a large area with a simple roll. However, it also knew that there were experts in the Blue Mansion and the Ancestral Mansion that were more dangerous, so it burned the houses that were relatively far away from the Blue Mansion. When it was jumping around happily, it instinctively felt the danger and hurriedly jumped forward, avoiding Elder Ju's hand. When it saw the glove on Elder Ju's hand, it immediately panicked. If it was an adult 10,000-year-old fire marrow now, it would be able to see the glove melt in an instant. However, it was only a juvenile and could not deal with the glove in a short period of time. Elder Ju's eyes were filled with greed as he said in a low voice, "Ha! I didn't expect it to be a juvenile 10,000-year-old fire marrow. What good fortune. With the help of the 10,000-year-old fire marrow, my alchemy skills will definitely reach the peak in the future." The little flame wanted to escape, but it did not know what method Elder Ju used. It was blocked by an invisible barrier. Although it could burn the barrier and escape, it would take time. And this short period of time was enough for Elder Ju to catch it. Elder Ju held the little flame tightly in his hand. His face was filled with joy. He had not come to the Imperial City for nothing this time. He had actually gained so much. Elder Ju knew the power of the 10,000-year-old fire marrow, so he did not intend to refine it. Instead, he took out a small cauldron. As long as he placed the little flame inside, it could only obediently become his possession and be trapped in the small cauldron for the rest of its life. The little flame took advantage of Elder Ju's ecstasy to struggle with all its might and luckily broke free from Elder Ju's hand. "Little thing, do you think you can escape?" Elder Ju said with a sinister smile, and once again clawed at the little flame. The little flame was both afraid and regretful. If it had known earlier, it would not have left even if the little girl scolded it 100 times. Woo, it was so scary outside. It wanted to go home. The little girl's palm was safer. Woo, who would save it? Just as the little flame was in despair, it heard a voice that sounded like the voice of an angel. "It's, old man, what are you doing here in the middle of the night?" Elder Ju's attention was focused on the little flame, and only then did he notice that someone had come. He looked up and frowned. "Leave quickly or I'll take your little life." Elder Ju was the guest elder of the Mu family. His mission this time was only to protect Mu Zian's safety. He had been cultivating in the guest courtyard of the main house, so he did not know Yin Chujio. Leave? The one you trapped is my little flame. The one who should be leaving should be you, right? Yin Chujio said with a chuckle. Yours? What kind of joke is this? This is the 10,000-year-old fire marrow. What right do you have to refine this 10,000-year-old fire marrow? Little girl, I'm in a good mood today. Leave now and I'll spare your life. Or I'll kill you, Elder Ju said as he went to catch the little flame. As for this little girl, he could kill her to silence her at any time. Yun Chujio took out a sack of talismans and threw them at the transparent barrier. Anyway, the little flame was not afraid of explosion, so she would kill this old bastard. Chapter 4887. He was the one who started the fire. Elder Ju didn't take Yin Chujio seriously when he first saw her take out a sack. A good-for-nothing of the 9th layer of the quietness of the soul wouldn't be his match no matter what tricks she used. However, he was dumbfounded when he saw that the sack was filled with talismans. Although the talismans in the sack didn't seem to be high-level talismans from the Chongshao continent, there were still a lot of them. The moment Elder Ju flashed his mind, the transparent barrier was blasted open. The huge shockwave forced Elder Ju to take a few steps back, and a huge pit appeared on the ground. When he came back to his senses, there was no sign of the little flame. He only saw that wretched girl looking at him with a smile. Where's the 10,000-year-old fire marrow? Elder Ju asked viciously. Old master, are you out of your mind? 10,000-year-old fire marrow? Are you dreaming? Why would the 10,000-year-old fire marrow appear in the imperial city? Yun Chujio said with a smile. Elder Ju was not a fool. He immediately understood that the 10,000-year-old fire marrow must have been taken away by this smelly girl in front of him in some way. She was really courting death. Hand over the 10,000-year-old fire marrow immediately, or I'll kill you. Old thing, I am a member of the Lan family. If you dare to touch a single hair on my head, I will let you die without a burial ground. Yun Chujio said arrogantly. Lan family? Who does the Lan family think they are? Hurry up and, before Elder Ju finished his words, he heard a cold shout, Oh? Or you? How dare you? How dare you talk nonsense in the Lan family's territory? The one who spoke was Third Elder Lan Dimeo. As for why he had arrived in such a timely manner, it was naturally Hei Shinjio who had sent him the news. Lan Dimeo had been in the city directing the firefighting, but he had just received a message from Yun Chujio, Great Uncle, I found the arsonist. Come over quickly. Therefore, Lan Dimeo had rushed over in a hurry and just happened to hear Elder Ju's words. Although Lan Dimeo did not know Elder Ju knew Lan Dimeo. His heart sank. It seemed that he would not be able to get the 10,000-year-old fire marrow today. It was not difficult to find another opportunity to be this wretched girl. Thinking of this, he was ready to reveal his identity to calm the situation. Third Elder Hei Shinjio shouted, Great Uncle, he is the criminal who set the fire. He even tried to silence me just now. And he even said that the Lan family is a piece of shit. I think he must be a spy sent by some sworn enemy. Why don't you kill him now? Lan Dimeo had heard Elder Ju say that the Lan family is nothing with his own ears, so he believed Yun Chujio's words without a doubt. Elder Ju was proud and arrogant. He swallowed the words that he had wanted to explain. He thought to himself, I'll defeat Lan Dimeo first and then reveal my identity. When that time comes, I'll see what face Lan Dimeo will have left. Just as he was about to release his spiritual beast, he did not expect to stumble. He was really unlucky. His strength and Lan Dimeo's were just a hair's breadth apart, and he had not been able to release his spiritual beast. How could he dodge Lan Dimeo's attack? Elder Ju was hit by Lan Dimeo's palm first, and then his right arm was wounded by the giant spiritual shark. Seeing that his life was in danger, he hurriedly shouted, Wait. Hei Shinjio didn't give him a chance to speak. She shouted, Great Uncle, he must be playing tricks. Kill him. Chapter 4888 was such a kind and good girl. Elder Ju was so angry that he almost died. He tried his best to dodge Lan Dimeo's attack and roared, I am Mu, boom, boom, boom. It turned out that Hei Shinjio was afraid that he would not be able to bear the responsibility. She secretly shot out dozens of purple needles. Although Elder Ju dodged some of them still hit him and exploded. Hei Shinjio held little bitch number 1 and stabbed at Elder Ju's front heart, saying while stabbing, Uncle Grandpa, take his life while he is sick. Don't just stand there. Lan Dimeo was also afraid that Elder Ju was his sworn enemy and had some trump card in his hand, so he did not dare to be negligent and attacked Elder Ju again. Lan Dimeo. I am the guest of the Mu family. Why aren't you stopping? Elder Ju shouted in exasperation. Lan Dimeo was stunned. A guest of the Mu family? What was going on? Great uncle, don't listen to his nonsense. He is clearly a thief who set the fire. Moreover, if he really is a member of the Mu family, if we offend him today, it will definitely not end well for us. We might as well kill him to silence him. Hey Shinjio said fiercely. Lan Dimeo gritted his teeth. He felt that what Yin Chujo said made sense. Since they had already formed a grudge, they could not leave him alive. Hence, not only did he not stop, he even intensified his attacks. Elder Ju was so angry that he wanted to send a message to Mu Zian. However, how could Lan Dimeo and Yun Chujio give him the opportunity to send a message? At this moment, Zhu Yang had already rushed over with his men. After joining the battle, he quickly killed Elder Ju. Lan Dimeo panted as he looked at Yin Chujio. What do we do now? Great uncle, what's so difficult about this? He's an arsonist, so we naturally have to deal with him impartially. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said. Lan Dimeo's heart stirred. That's right. No matter what his identity was, as long as he was labeled as an arsonist, even the Mu family couldn't do anything to him. Who asked him to sneak out in the middle of the night? Perhaps he really was the one who set the imperial city on fire. Lan Dimeo did not have a good impression of the Mu family, because the Mu family wanted to marry the eldest son. The friend of the enemy was the enemy. Therefore, Lan Dimeo put away Elder Ju's body and continued to organize people to put out the fire. Yun Chujio also followed behind and was busy putting out the fire. When the citizens of the imperial city saw Hei Shinjio, whose face was covered in white and gray, they all sighed. This Miss Yun came to help us put out the fire in the middle of the night. What a kind and good girl. Yeah, it's really rare to see such a young lady from a big family who is willing to help others regardless of her own safety. That's right. This cousin of the Lan family is much stronger than the other members of the Lan family. We almost wronged her last time, but she's still so warm-hearted. She's really too kind. Yun Chujio felt her conscience ache a little when she heard the discussion of the crowd. This guy whispered to Lan Dimeo beside him, Uncle, doesn't that arsonist have a storage ring on him? Please put away the good things inside and distribute the remaining spiritual stones to the people who are affected by the disaster. In this way, your reputation will definitely surpass that of the eldest and second branch. Lan Dimeo thought for a moment. Since it was free money, it would be good to exchange it for a good reputation. Moreover, after bribing the people, these people would also be able to help him testify against the arsonist. Even if the Mu family wanted to cause trouble, they wouldn't be able to find a reason. Thus, Lan Dimeo put away some of the good things in Elder Ju's storage ring and took out a portion of spirit stones for people to distribute to the people who were affected by the disaster. Chapter 4889 was still as mischievous as ever. Lan Dimeo's action had indeed won praise from the people. They all praised the merits of Lan Dimeo and the Lan family. Lan Dimeo said after Yun Chujio reminded him, Everyone, we have caught the arsonist. Please identify him and see if he is the one who set the fire. While speaking, Lan Dimeo threw Elder Ju's body on the ground. His body had been badly mutilated by Hei Xinjia's purple needles. His original appearance could hardly be seen. However, the citizens were compensated. They did not care who the body on the ground was. They shouted, Yes, it's him. We saw him clearly. We could recognize him even if he turned into ashes, that's right. We saw that the thief was wearing green clothes and his body. It was clearly him. Thankfully, Third Elder was smart enough to catch him in time. Otherwise, he might have set the fire again. Speaking of which, we should thank Miss Yun for the drill when she crashed into the city gate last time. Otherwise, we would have really panicked. Yes, Miss Yun is such a kind and good girl. She is our savior. She has the heart of a bodhisattva. Hei Xinjia's thick skin, which had been thick for thousands of years, finally turned a little red. Cough, 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 cough. She really deserved it. On the other side, Yuan Ji, who had seen the whole process, was dumbfounded. Although he knew that Yun Chujio was full of evil thoughts, wasn't this too evil? That little flame was obviously hers, so she was the main culprit of the fire in the city. However, in the end, not only did she successfully kill Elder Ju to silence him, but she also made the people in the city shed tears of gratitude for her. Oh God! If he hadn't seen what happened, he might have been deceived by her. No wonder his master was so obsessed with her. Who could escape from this guy's bad ideas? Perhaps she had given his master some kind of bewitching potion. Yuan Ji's expression was complicated as he reported the incident to Lan Luochen. Lan Luochen gave a rare smile. Little Jiao is still so naughty. Yuan Ji, Naughty? He was clearly wicked. Pavilion Master, Elder Ju was killed by Third Elder. I'm afraid the Mu family will not let it go, Yuanji said. You're wrong. Mu Zian won't even help that Elder Ju collect his body, let alone admit his identity. With the citizens of the Imperial City as witnesses, Elder Ju is an arsonist. If Mu Zian admitted that Elder Ju was a member of the Mu family, wouldn't this matter become a premeditated plot by the Mu family? Therefore she could only suffer this loss in silence. Lan Luochen said with a faint smile. Yuanji was stunned for a moment. Pavilion Master, that Elder Ju didn't reveal his identity to Yun Chujio from the beginning to the end. How did she guess that he was a member of the Mu family? Thus she set him up. Lan Luochen looked at him speechlessly. Isn't that simple? Since that person doesn't know little Jiao, it means that he isn't a member of the Lan family. As long as he isn't from the Lan family, little Jiao will label him as an arsonist and he will only die. Yuanji shook his head. Other things aside, Yun Chujio's brain was really good. This time, Mu Zian was at a disadvantage. At this moment, Mu Zian still didn't know that Elder Ju was dead and was labeled as an arsonist. She was still waiting for Elder Ju to come back with the fire marrow. However, she waited until dawn, but Elder Ju didn't come back. The sound transmission talisman couldn't be sent successfully either. However, Mu Zian felt that Elder Ju's cultivation was so high that nothing should happen. Moreover, there was still a good show to be performed today. She wanted to make Yun Chujio lose face in front of everyone and let cousin Luochen know that only she, Mu Zian, was worthy of him. Chapter 48-90 Invitation Card. Hei Xinjiu returned to the third room amid the praises of the crowd. She wanted to sneak back to her own courtyard, but Lan Dimeo called her to the study room. Tell me, how did you offend that person? Lan Dimeo was not a fool. Although he had been fooled by Hei Xinjiu at that time, he knew that he had been used as a knife by this little girl when he calmed down. Hei Xinjiu bared her little white teeth. Great uncle, I originally wanted to go out and watch the show, but I was targeted by that person. I didn't know his background at first, but later I found out that he was Mu Zian's man and wanted to kill me. Lan Dimeo frowned. Mu Zian's man? Why did she want to kill you? Lan Dimeo had something to do yesterday and left the residence. He only returned to room 3 in the evening, so he did not know that Lan Luochen had forced his way into the residence. Naturally, he did not know about the entanglement between Lan Luochen and Hei Xinjiu. Hei Xinjiu sighed. Great uncle, that Lan Luochen once pursued me, but I did not take a liking to him at all. That little bitch Mu Zian likes Lan Luochen, so she treats me as a thorn in her flesh. Sigh, who asked me to be so outstanding? Everyone is crying and shouting to marry me. Being too outstanding is also a kind of trouble. The corner of Lan Dimeo's mouth twitched. This troublemaker was getting more and more shameless. However, Lan Luochen liked her? Was he blind? Lan Dimeo's heart suddenly moved. Previously, his ancestor had already announced that Lan Luochen would become the successor of the next family head. Yet, that Lan Luochen suddenly went to the Chongshao continent. Could it be related to this troublemaker? If Lan Luochen really had feelings for this little girl, it would not be a bad thing to use this matter to stir up the marriage between the eldest and Mu families. Thinking of this, Lan Dimeo did not pursue the matter of Yun Chujio leaving the manor on her own. Instead he said, actually that child Lan Luochen is not bad. If the two of you can form a marriage, it can be considered to be even closer. I am happy to see that happen. Great uncle, I have a fiancé. I was born to be his person, and am his ghost if I die. Yun Chujio said seriously. Lan Dimeo did not take her words to heart. The opinions of a little girl were not important. What he needed to weigh now was whether Lan Luochen marrying this troublemaker would be beneficial or detrimental to him. But no matter what, he had to first interfere with the marriage of the Mu family. Thus he smiled and said, alright, I won't interfere in the affairs of young people. But Lan Luchen's cultivation is the best among the younger generation. If you have anything you don't know, you can ask him. Yun Chujio nodded perfunctorily. She could more or less guess what Lan Dimeo was planning. She returned to her own courtyard and gave the little flame a good scolding. The little flame learned its lesson this time. No matter how Hei Xinjiu scolded it, it listened obediently. It was too scary outside. It was better to follow this little girl. It made up its mind to cultivate properly so that it could speak earlier. This way it could tell the little girl about the evil deeds of that bastard Buddha's candle. Just as Yun Chujio was about to catch up on her sleep, Hong Ling came in with an exquisite invitation card. Yun Chujio took it over curiously. It turned out that it was Mu Zian's invitation card. There was a bunch of scholarly words on it. The gist of it was that she had caused trouble for everyone because of the incident with Lan Luofeng, so she wanted to set up a banquet to apologize to everyone. While she was at it, she tried to get in touch with them. Chapter 48-91 Jiao Pai Chui Yu Duck Yun Chujio pursed her lips. It was obvious that it was a Hongmen banquet. Moreover, that crazy Lan Luochen was in the main room. She would have to be a fool to go. At this moment, Lan Luofeng ran over in a panic. "Little Jiao, what should we do? My mother said that if I don't go, the Mu family will take the opportunity to cause trouble and insist that I go, but I'm afraid that Mu Zian definitely doesn't have good intentions, and Lan Luoyen and Lan Luofeng will definitely take revenge on me. Can you go with me?" Yun Chujio glanced at her. "I'm not going." "Alright little Jiao, just help me once. As long as you go with me, I'll buy all your snacks for this month. What do you want to eat? I'll get Zihua to buy it for you." Lan Luofeng pleaded. "Tissy, you make it sound like I love snacks. Well, 1 month won't do, 3 months. Lan Luofeng immediately said happily, 3 months it is. "Little Jiao, I knew you were the best. I heard that Mu Zian also brought a lot of specialty products from the Mu family. You can try them when the time comes." Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. "I don't care about the stupid specialty that Mu Zian brought. Cough cough, what specialty is it?" Lan Luofeng, "Most of them are pastries and spiritual fruits, but there is a special method to make the most famous roasted skin green feather duck. It is said that this roasted skin green feather duck was raised with many kinds of spiritual herbs, and the method of making it is quite complicated. It is not sold in the world," Lan Luofeng explained. Yun Chujio could not help but look forward to the banquet that night. Lan Luofeng was under her protection, so she naturally could not ignore it. Besides, Mu Zian looked like a white lotus flower. The target of this banquet should not be Lan Luofeng but her. If she did not go, she would probably think of other ways to harm her, so she would go and meet this white lotus flower. However, did this white lotus flower not know that her people had become arsonists? Mu Zian really did not know that Elder Ju had become an arsonist even in her dreams. She thought that Elder Ju had left the city to capture the deviant flame or the fire marrow. As for why the voice transmission talisman did not succeed, she guessed that it was because Elder Ju's location did not allow him to use the talisman. Besides, all her attention was on the banquet, so she did not think too much about it. At night, when the time difference was a quarter of an hour, He Xinjiu and Lan Luofeng arrived at the venue of the banquet. They had their own plans. Although Mu Zian was in love with Lan Luochen, they might have a chance. Hence, all of them could not wait to attend the banquet after receiving the invitation. Mu Zian saw Yun Chujio and Yun Chujio enter and greeted them with a perfect smile. "Sister Luofeng, Sister Yun, you are finally here. You are the main characters of the banquet today. Come take your seats." Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Sister Zian, I'm here for your Mu family's Jiao Pai Chui Yu duck. You won't be stingy and refuse to let us eat it, right?" Mu Zian said with a smile, "Don't worry. Since I'm hosting the banquet, there will naturally be Jiao Pai Chui Yu duck. If you like it, I'll bring you two when I leave." He Xinjia's smile became even brighter. "Thank you, Sister Zian. Then I'll accept your offer." Mu Zian nodded with a smile, but she was sneering in her heart. The Mu family's roasted skin green feather duck was not just a delicacy. Since this idiot was willing to eat it, then let her eat it to her heart's content. Chapter 48-92 No good banquet. Most of the banquets in the Chongshao continent had a small table for each person, and this was no exception. After Yun Chujio sat down, she saw that there were already many pastries and spirit fruits on the table. This fellow had never known what was reserved, so she immediately picked up a piece of pastry and ate it. Mu Zian saw that Yun Chujio had eaten the pastry, and a trace of viciousness flashed in her eyes. If the Mu family's scorched skin green feather duck was eaten alone, it would indeed be a supreme delicacy. However, if it was consumed at the same time with the Mu family's special medicinal powder, it would be a poison that only the Mu family could cure. Moreover, according to the variety of the medicinal powder, the effect would be different. Naturally, she would not be so stupid as to directly poison Yun Chujio to death. Her purpose today was to make her a fool and let Lan Luochen see what kind of person he liked. A moment later, Lan Luochen arrived. Mu Zian immediately went up to him with affection. "Cousin, you're the only one left. Your seat is over here." Lan Luochen saw that his seat was close to Mu Zian and was quite far away from Yun Chujio's seat. He could not help but frown slightly, but he still took his seat. Mu Zian's heart was filled with joy. She immediately got someone to remove the pastries and spiritual fruits and began to serve the dishes. The dishes were naturally very sumptuous, but the most attractive dish was the burnt skin green feather duck. The red, shiny duck skin was crispy and delicious, and the duck meat inside was delicious and juicy. There was also a faint smell of spiritual herbs, which made people unable to stop eating. He Xingjiu pulled off a duck leg and began to eat, his mouth full of oil. Seeing this, Mu Ziyan was both disdainful and proud. This idiot, eat it, eat it. The more you eat, the stronger the effect of the medicine will be. At this moment, Lan Luofeng said with a fake smile, Lan Luofeng, you accidentally hurt Sister Ziyan last time. Not only did Sister Ziyan not argue with you, but she even specially set up a banquet to comfort you. Shouldn't you express something? Lan Luomei and the others agreed, that's right, don't pretend to be mute. Shouldn't you apologize to her? Lan Luofeng's face instantly turned red. She knew that this banquet was not that simple. It was clearly Lan Luoyin and Mu Ziyan who had worked together to set her up, but now they wanted her to apologize in public. It was too much of a bully. However, when she thought of the words that Jia Shi had told her not to cause trouble before she came, she bit her lips and said, I'm sorry. Before she could finish her words, Yun Chuzhou interrupted her. Didn't Sister Ziyan say it in the invitation? She caused trouble for everyone. What has it got to do with you? If you apologize, wouldn't you be letting down Sister Ziyan's painstaking efforts? Sister Ziyan, am I right? Mu Ziyan's face stiffened. Of course the past is the past. There's no need to argue about right and wrong. She was a little suspicious. Logically speaking, the effect of the medicine should have taken effect a long time ago. Why was there nothing wrong with this Yun Chuzhou? Lan Luoyin immediately sneered and said, Yun Chuzhou, I wonder if you have made any progress after going to the Zen sect? Don't tell me that you only know how to transform into Gowei Batsao. Yun Chuzhou glanced at Lan Luoyin and said, Yes, I only know how to transform into Gowei Batsao. Don't you envy me? I envy you. What's there for me to envy with trash like you? Sister Ziyan, you might not know this, but this Yun Chuzhi's natal spiritual beast is a Gowei Batsao, and she doesn't even know how to transform into a supplementary spiritual beast. She's simply trash to the extreme, Lan Luoyin said disdainfully. Chapter 4893 was smart and cute. Mu Ziyan thought that Yun Chuzhou would be embarrassed and angry after being ridiculed by Lan Luoyin. However, she found that Yun Chuzhou had been chewing on a duck and didn't seem to take the ridicule to heart. What made her even angrier was that Lan Luochen had been smiling at Yun Chuzhou and didn't even look at her. The hand under her sleeve tightened and she said with a smile, Oh? Sister Yun's natal spiritual beast is actually a Gowei Batsao? This is really strange. Sister Yun, I wonder if you can open my eyes? Mu Ziyan secretly hated in her heart. Although she didn't know what went wrong and the effect of the medicine hadn't taken effect yet, it didn't matter. As long as she released the spiritual beast, she would use her spiritual power. In that case, the effect of the medicine would definitely take effect. Unfortunately, Yun Chuzhou did not even raise her head and said vaguely, I'm busy. Let's talk about it when there's time. Well, this duck tastes pretty good. Give me 2 more. Mu Ziyan was furious. She pretended to be a little angry and said, Sister Yun, you're not giving me face. If you don't let me see your spiritual beast, I won't let anyone serve you the duck. Yun Chuzhou then looked up at Mu Ziyan and said, My spiritual beast is stupid and stupid. It would be bad if it interferes with the banquet. Guai Chao in her dantian, who are you calling stupid and stupid? It was obviously smart and cute. Mu Ziyan thought that Yun Chuzhou was afraid of embarrassing herself in front of Lan Luochen, so she deliberately found an excuse to decline and said with a smile, It's okay. Just let it out. Yun Chuzhou spread her hands. This is what you said. If there's anything, don't blame me. As Yun Chuzhou spoke, she let out a huge purple Gowei Batsao. Although Mu Ziyan had heard about it from Lan Luoyin, she was still stunned when she saw the Gowei Batsao in front of her. This Yun Chuzhou was really not an ordinary good-for-nothing. She actually transformed into such a good-for-nothing spiritual beast. Lan Luchen's eyes were also a little surprised. He remembered that little Nine's spiritual beast was a pig. How did it turn into Gowei Batsao? At this moment, the Gowei Batsao began to turn into a demon under He Xingji's instructions. The huge grass leaf easily flipped over the table in front of Lan Luoyin and the others. For a moment, the sound of the dishes breaking and the screams mixed together. Yun Chuzhou spread her hands. I told you not to let her out, didn't I? You didn't believe me. It's not my fault. Mu Ziyan was so angry that her face turned slightly pale. She had clearly drugged Yun Chuzhi's pastries with a drug that made women fall in love. Why was there nothing abnormal about her? What the hell? According to the original plan, after Yun Chujio was poisoned, she would definitely make a fool of herself in front of everyone. This way, even if Lan Luochen didn't say anything, he would still despise that idiot in his heart. But why was there no reaction at all? Before she left, He Xingjiu said with a smile, "Sister Xian, you promised me that you would give me 100 Jiao Pai Chui Yu ducks. You won't go back on your word, right?" Mu Xian was furious. Since when did she agree to give her 100 Jiao Pai Chui Yu ducks? Wasn't she afraid of bursting? "Sister Yun, I'm really sorry. I only have 5 Jiao Pai Chui Yu ducks left. I'll give them all to you." Mu Xian squeezed out a smile and said, "Only 5? Alright, 5 then. I'm very easy to talk to," He Xingjiu said in a magnanimous tone. Chapter 48-94. White lotus flower mashed with a psychopath. Mu Xian wished she could strangle He Xingjiu to death, but under everyone's watchful eyes she could only endure it. She thought to herself, "Bitch, keep gloating. When Elder Ju returns, he'll find an opportunity to kill you." At this moment, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Sister Xian, did you know about the fire in the Imperial City last night?" Mu Xian did not know why Yun Chujio brought up this matter. She was stunned for a moment before saying, "Of course I know. Sister Yun, what do you mean by bringing up this matter?" The smile on Yun Chujio's face became even brighter. "It's nothing. It's just that I heard that the arsonist that I killed was a spy sent by our Lan family's sworn enemy. Furthermore, he's an old man. Don't you think he's a slut? He actually dared to come to our Imperial City to set fire to it. He's simply overestimating his own capabilities." Mu Xian did not know why, but she felt a little flustered. An old man? Could it be Elder Ju? How was this possible? However, Elder Ju had not returned for the entire night, and the voice transmission talisman had not been sent successfully. Could it really be Elder Ju? Thinking up to this point, Mu Xian no longer had any thoughts of dealing with Yun Chujio. With a pale face she said, "Sister Yun, I'm not feeling well. Let's meet again another day." "Sister Xian, are you not feeling well? Are you sick?" "Big cousin, take good care of Sister Xian. You two are a perfect match," He Xingjiu said to Lan Luochen, who had been standing at the side, with a smile. A white lotus flower paired with a psychopath, a perfect match. Even in her dreams, Mu Xian never thought that Yun Chujio would say such words. She actually set her up with her cousin? Just as she was in a daze, she heard Lan Luochen say, "Little Jiu, you're being naughty again. Men and women can't be intimate. Even if I'm taking care of you, I should be taking care of you. After all, you're the one I like." Many of the people present did not know about the conflict between Yun Chujio and Lan Luochen, so after hearing Lan Luochen's words, they immediately started discussing. "Oh my god, did I hear wrongly? Could it be that Lan Luochen has his eyes on Yun Chujio and not Mu Xian?" "Of course you didn't hear wrongly. Didn't you see that during the meal Lan Luochen's gaze was always on Yun Chujio? But he didn't even look at Mu Xian. Tiske, I thought that Lan Luochen and Mu Xian were a couple, but it turns out that's not the case." Mu Xian's face twisted when she heard everyone's discussion. Yun Chujio saw the hatred in Mu Xian's eyes, and her heart was like a dog that was bawling. Heaven and earth had a conscience. She really wanted to set them up. The two of them were a couple so they could avoid harming others. What a wonderful thing it was. This guy felt that if he stayed any longer, he would be stabbed like a hedgehog by the hatred in Mu Xian's eyes, so he laughed dryly and said, "Big cousin, I have a fiancée, so you should stay away from me in the future. You should be in love with Sister Xian. You two are a perfect match." After He Xingjiu said that, she dragged Lan Luofeng and ran away. Lan Luochen glanced at the crowd and said indifferently, "Her fiancé is dead, so she is mine. If any of you provoke her in the future, you will be my enemy." After Lan Luochen finished speaking, he turned around and left without even looking at Mu Xian. Mu Xian didn't even notice that her fingernails were embedded into her palm. She originally thought that this banquet would make that bitch embarrassed, but she didn't expect that their relationship would be exposed to the public. It was really hateful. Chapter 48-95. Go Weiba was still useful. Mu Xian steadied her mind and returned to her usual gentle appearance. She smiled faintly and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't arrange things properly today and let everyone down." Lan Luoyen immediately said angrily, "Sister Xian, what does this have to do with you? It was clearly caused by that Yun Chujio. Ever since that bitch arrived at the Lan family, she hasn't stopped. How detestable." Lan Luomei and the rest also chimed in. They were simply pushing the blame onto Yun Chujio. Lan Luoqing, Lan Luomu and the rest, however, had a wishful plan in their hearts. Lan Luoqin, that idiot, actually abandoned Mu Ziyan and chose the Yin Chuzhou. He was simply stupid. However, this was also good. They had a chance. If they could marry Mu Ziyan, they would have enough strength to kill that Lan Luoqin. Hence, they all started to show their hospitality. Although Mu Ziyan did not like them, she still braced herself to deal with them. If these idiots were used properly, she would not need to personally kill that bitch. After Mu Ziyan sent everyone away, she quickly sent people to investigate the incident last night. An hour later, a guard reported with a troubled expression. "Miss, there is a corpse hanging on the city wall. It is said that it was the arsonist from last night. Although the person was badly mutilated, judging from his figure and clothes, it should be Elder Jew." Mu Ziyan immediately fell down on the chair. How was this possible? Putting aside the fact that Elder Jew was not an arsonist, even if there was a misunderstanding with Elder just cultivation level, how could he be killed so easily? She recalled what Yin Chuzhou said earlier. Could it be that bitch's doing? She shook her head again. That bitch did not have such strength. It was probably just a coincidence. "Miss, should we retrieve Elder Jess' body and seek an explanation from the Lan family?" the guard asked. Mu Ziyan shook her head. "Since we have already been identified as the arsonist, not only can we not seek an explanation from the Lan family, we can also not admit that Elder Jew is one of us. Miss, are we just going to let this matter go? The Lan family has gone too far." This time, it was the old mistress of the Lan family who personally invited you over as a guest. Now, not only is there no news of the marriage, but she has also killed Elder Jew. She has completely disregarded the Mu family, the maid Xiaoyu said indignantly. "If he refuses to change his mind, we'll have to do it the hard way. I'll let him kill that bitch with his own hands." On the other side, He Xinjiu pulled Lan Luofang out of the Lan family's main house and went back to the third house. Tiske that Mu Ziyan still wanted to poison her? With Go Weiba, there was no poison in this world that she was afraid of. Thinking of this, He Xinjiu felt that Go Weiba was still useful, but this could not cover up the fact that it prevented her from having sex with the gigolo. After Go Weiba sensed He Xinjiu's thoughts, it cursed in its heart, this woman, pervert, wolf. All day long it was thinking about that trivial matter. Couldn't it not have sex? Just like Go Weiba, even if it did not have sex, it was still alive and well. If He Xinjiu knew this fellow's thoughts, she would definitely turn it into a specimen. After He Xinjiu returned to her room, she washed up briefly, took out Di Biming's voice transmission talisman and sighed. "Gigolo, where are you?" Chapter 4896 was heartbroken. Although the people of the Chongshao continent used voice transmission talismans, Yun Chujia's voice transmission talismans could also be used, but the effect was not as good as the voice transmission talismans. Just as Yun Chujio was sighing, the voice transmission talisman in her hand began to tremble. Yun Chujio could not believe her eyes. Could she be hallucinating? How could it be so coincidental? The gigolo had sent a letter at this time? Her little heart pounded violently and she sent her divine sense in with a slight tremble. When she heard the familiar voice, she could not help but feel a lump in her throat. She did not even hear what Di Biming had said, so she could only listen again. "Little Jio, stay at the Lan family. Don't leave. Remember." Yun Chujio felt that there might be something wrong with her ears. The gigolo was so jealous that he actually told her to stay at the Lan family? Was he sick? She listened to it again and her expression instantly changed. Although Di Biming seemed to be trying his best to calmly recount these words, she could feel that he was trying his best to suppress some pain. Could it be that something had happened? She calmed herself down and replied, "I know. Where are you? What happened?" However, this time, the voice transmission talisman did not succeed. Yun Chujia's hands could not help but tremble. She tried again and again but failed. She took out Shui Wuji's voice transmission talisman and asked, "Brother Wuji, are you with the gigolo? What happened?" She didn't expect that the transmission would be successful this time. On a wasteland in the Chongshao continent, there was a river of blood and corpses everywhere. The heavy smell of blood filled the air. Shui Wuji wiped the blood from his mouth and held a voice transmission talisman in his hand. He looked at Di Biming, who was almost frozen into an ice sculpture. "Little Sister Jio sent it. What should I say? You too. Why did you block the voice transmission talisman? It's not like you don't know Little Sister Jio's personality. If she doesn't ask the truth, will she let it go?" Di Biming said with difficulty, "Little Sister Jio is very smart. If I continue, she will notice that something is wrong. She will definitely run over regardless. You tell her that I have an urgent matter? I went to another continent. Everything is fine. Let her wait for me in peace at the Land family. Shui Wuji curled his lips. Wait for you at ease? Aren't you afraid that that bastard Lan Luochen will take advantage of little ninth sister? That bastard has always been eyeing little ninth sister covetously. Moreover, right now, she is in the Lan family. She is the safest. I believe in her. Di Biming had not finished his words when he had already fainted. Shui Wuji took the heavenly ruler that he had obtained from the ancient sword tomb and knocked on the hard ice on Di Biming's body as he spoke to Infeng. Stay. I didn't expect this expressionless man to be so affectionate. When he said those words just now, how sour was his heart. Infeng was speechless. His Majesty was already in such a state, yet this young master of Wuji still did not forget to ridicule him. However, when he thought of Jin Ji, whom he had not seen for several years, he felt very uncomfortable. He wondered if Jin Ji was waiting for him. Could she have already become someone else's wife? Just thinking about it made his heart ache. When would these days end? Shui Wuji looked at Infeng's resentful look and sighed. It had been a long time since he had seen that unfaithful woman, pervert, and wolf. And Rue Air wouldn't have forgotten about his father, right? Chapter 4897. The three most miserable men. Shui Wuji felt that the three of them were most likely the most miserable men in the world. This was all because of that fucking owner of the God and Devil Temple. He did not know what kind of deep hatred he had with this facial paralysis. He actually chased after him from one continent to another. If this facial paralysis was not a pervert, he would have died a long time ago. As for him, the reason why he had been accompanying Di Biming was naturally because he was a hero who was loyal to the heavens. He could not just watch as the facial paralysis was killed. Cough cough. He would never admit that he was trying his best to become stronger so that he could see that woman, pervert, and wolf again. Also, his seal should have something to do with the demon race. If he did not follow this facial paralysis to the peak of this world, he would not even have a place to stand on the 3,000 continents, not to mention living a shameless life with women, perverts, and wolves. When Shui Wuji thought of that woman, pervert, and wolf, his face couldn't help but heat up. It wasn't until the voice transmission talisman in his hand trembled again that he remembered that he still hadn't replied to Yun Chujio. He picked up the voice transmission talisman and pretended to be relaxed. Little Sister Jiu, that expressionless man has something urgent to do and has gone to another continent. Don't worry, everything is fine. A moment later, Yun Chujio sent him another voice transmission talisman. Shui Wuji sent his divine sense in, and Yun Chujio's cold laughter came from inside. Brother Wuji, do you think I'm stupid? Tell me what's going on. Shui Wuji immediately grinned. He finally understood why Di Biming wanted to block the voice transmission talisman. Little Sister Jiu was a shrewd person. This lie could not fool her at all. He thought for a moment and then said, "It's not a big deal. It's just that the cold-faced poison offender did not want you to worry. You also know that the Divine Devil Hall wants to capture you and threaten him. You staying in the Lan family peacefully is the best choice." After a long while, Yun Chujio's voice came from the voice transmission talisman again. "Okay, I got it. You guys have to be careful." Shui Wuji was stunned. Little Sister Jiu was actually so easy to talk to? Was it over just like that? He was about to complain to Infeng when his expression changed. He and Infeng immediately carried Di Biming and ran into the distance. Shui Wuji smiled bitterly in his heart. It would have been fine if this facial paralysis did not get sick, but this illness of his was going to kill him. He was afraid that he would have to run for his life these days. Almost as soon as the three of them disappeared, hundreds of people rushed to the place where they had stopped and chased after them. On the other side, Yun Chujio looked at the voice transmission talisman in her hand and did not move for a long time. She was not a 3-year-old child. Although Shui Wuji said it lightly, she knew that if the situation was not critical, the gigolo would not hide it from her and deliberately ignore her voice transmission talisman. Not only could she not help at all, but she also wanted the gigolo to be distracted by her. However, if there was no lightning strike, she would not be able to quickly increase her spiritual power no matter how anxious she was. This was the two sides of the coin. Although the heavenly thunder spirit route brought her a lot of convenience, it also had many restrictions. The most fatal point was that it caused a thunderstorm. For a moment, Yun Chujio's heart was in a mess. Even though she was happy and optimistic, the current situation was bleak. The pretty boy was in a critical situation. Her parents were trapped in the Zen sect. There was even someone behind the Zen sect. Although she could be alive and kicking in the Lan family for the time being, This was because the old fox of the Lan family had other plans for her. Once she was no longer useful, he would probably hand her over to the Divine Devil Hall in exchange for benefits. Chapter 4898 This female devil really knew how to play. Although she was a ghost ancestor and a demon ancestor, those were all matters of her previous life. She was now a trash. Her current spiritual power was only at the 9th layer of the quietness of the soul. She was simply a weakling. The talismans and pills in her hands could only be considered low-grade. Those silly cuties were all very well known, but they were a bunch of good-looking but useless trash. The only decent De Hua was missing, and the newly transformed Goei Batsao made her even more depressed. Hei Shinjio hugged her knees, thinking about these things in a daze. She felt unprecedentedly lost. How could she break through this layer of darkness? The stupid cuties were connected with Yun Chujia's spiritual sense. They could feel her low mood and they all became depressed. Of course, Buddha's candle was the only exception. This fellow had signed a contract with Yun Chujio because of the situation. Seeing her low spirits, he was gloating over her misfortune. Damn it. I told you to be so arrogant and shameless in your past life. You finally got your comeuppance, didn't you? Ah. It was so satisfying. It pretended to comfort her. Don't be too discouraged. Who knows when you'll regain the strength of your previous life. After all, you were so awesome in your previous life. The reason it said that was to rub salt on Yun Chujia's wound. However, it made Yun Chujia's eyes light up. Xiao Chouzhu was right. As long as she could find a way to break the seal in her body, she would be able to solve the big problem. Even if she could not find a way to break the seal, it would be fine if she could recover the memories of her previous life. Perhaps she had hidden some treasures or knew some heaven-defying cultivation method in her previous life. That way she would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Then the question came. How could she break the seal in her body or recover her memories? Clown Candle, tell me about my past life. Yun Chujio felt that listening more might be helpful in recovering her memories. Buddha's Candle did not expect that she would actually lift a stone and hit her own foot. She did not want to say anything, but she was afraid that she would be punished, so she could only say dryly, I've slept for too long, so there's a limit to what I can remember. All I remember is that you came out of nowhere. Once you arrived at the Bitter Zen sect, you disliked the name of the Bitter Zen sect, so you forcefully erased the word bitter. Those monks tried to reason with you, but you beat them up, and even made them wear women's clothes and sing for you. In the end, you said that their singing wasn't good, so you snatched the dawn bell and the sunset wooden fish. What happened after that? Yun Chujio touched her nose guiltily. Her previous life was really awesome. After that? How would I know what happened after that? You plucked out my candle wick and I went into hibernation at that time, Buddha's Candle said snappily. Hei Shinjio coughed dryly and did not continue to ask Buddha's Candle. Instead, she opened the isolation array and released Qiying. Qiying had not been released for a long time. He was on the verge of crying. He saw Buddha's Candle floating not far away from him and was dumbfounded. You snatched the Buddha's Candle from the Zen sect? Yun Chujio curled her lips. It was it who wanted to follow me. Qiying pursed his lips. He did not believe it. Yun Chujio, when are you going to find me a human body? If you continue to brush me off, I will fight you to the death. Qiying had enough of those stupid and cute bullies. It was worse than death. The wick of the Buddha's Candle flickered. Oh my, this rabbit was actually possessed by someone? TSK, this female devil really knew how to play. Chapter 4899 was also initiated by her in her previous life. Yun Chujio did not answer Qiying's question. Instead, she said, tell me about the ghost ancestor. Qiying snapped, how would I know? I'm not someone from 10,000 years ago. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. You told me last time that the gigolo and I had feelings for each other in the Chongshao continent. Could it be that you lied to me before? Qiying choked. I heard about these things from others. It was said that you appeared out of nowhere and acted wantonly in the Chongshao continent. It was simply glorious. Later on, for some unknown reason, your spiritual power was damaged. The forces that you offended all wanted to kill you, but you clung onto the Lord's thigh. Those forces had no choice but to give up. I only know so much. You can believe it or not. Yun Chujio was speechless when she heard that. So in her previous life, she had also taken the initiative to latch onto the leg of a gigolo. Of course, Yun Chujio did not believe that Qiying only knew so much. However, she also knew that if she pushed him too hard, this fellow might have a life-and-death struggle, so she did not continue to ask. However, she did not expect Qiying to take the initiative to say, I heard that you guys almost traveled through the entire Chongshao continent back then. If you go out for a walk, you might be able to recover your memories. Yun Chujia's lips curled into a cold smile. Qi Ying had already instigated her to leave the Lan family for the second time. Don't think that she did not know what he was planning. He just wanted her to escape from the Lan family's protection so that she could be captured by the Divine Devil Hall. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio remembered a question that she had overlooked. She suddenly asked, Qi Ying, your Divine Devil Hall's lair is not in the Chongshao continent, right? Or do you mean that you've never been to the so-called lair? I don't understand what you are talking about, Qi Ying said with a twinkle in his eyes. Yun Chujio sneered. She had neglected this problem before. Now that she thought about it, if the Divine Devil Hall's lair was in the Chongshao continent, why would they be afraid of the Zen sect in the Lan family? They would have taken her away long ago. Moreover, it seemed that Qi Ying's status in the Divine Devil Hall was not that great. Although he was a purple-masked man, he was probably one of those who had been ostracized. Otherwise, he would not have been tricked into staying in the 10,000 Ghost Cave for more than 10 years. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said with a sneer, Brother Qi Ying, I actually quite sympathize with you. When Qi Ying heard the words Brother Qi Ying, he could not help but shudder. This darn girl must be up to something again. What do you sympathize with me for? Don't look at me now that I've fallen into your hands. It's not certain who will be the victor in the future. Qi Ying said with a stern expression, Nonsense, nonsense. I'm a dignified purple-masked man, who dares to ostracize me. If you weren't ostracized, why would it be your turn to go to the ghost region for such a difficult task? Don't you know what kind of days you're living in the Myriad Ghosts Cave? Perhaps your body has already been destroyed by someone. They have no intention of letting you come back at all. Yun Chujio gloated. Qi Ying's pair of rabbit eyes became even redder. Impossible. We are all working for the master. Even if there are some disagreements, they wouldn't do this. All right, since you are lying to yourself, then just pretend that I didn't say anything. Don't worry, I always keep my word. When the time is right, I will naturally help you find a human body and set you free, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Buddha's candle, who was at the side, cursed in his heart. You keep your word? Liar. Chapter 4900. Rising anger. Qi Ying was distracted by Yun Chujio's words, so he ignored Yun Chujio's words. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. Seemed like she was right. Qi Ying must have been ostracized in the Divine Devil Hall. As long as she simmered him down, she would bring him over sooner or later. Yun Chujio put Qi Ying back into her spirit beast pouch and sighed. It seemed like there was no quick fix. Fortunately, Mount Meru would be struck by lightning again in half a month. She would think of a way to absorb more lightning then. That night He Xinjiu tossed and turned. She only fell asleep in a daze when it was almost dawn. Hong Ling saw that she would be late for class if she didn't wake He Xinjiu up, so she summoned her courage to wake Yun Chujio up. He Xinjiu's face was so gloomy that it was frightening. Hong Ling didn't even dare to breathe. She had seen people who were angry when they woke up, but her miss was getting more and more angry when she woke up. When Lan Luofang came over and saw He Xinjiu like this, she shrank her neck and did not dare to say anything. The two of them went to the training hall of the ancestral residence in silence. Yun Chujio was sleeping soundly on the table. Guest Elder Shi coughed a few times, but He Xinjiu did not respond. Guest Elder Shi said angrily, Yun Chujio, come to the front. Lan Luofang quickly and carefully woke He Xinjiu up. Little Jiu, Mr. Shi wants you to come to the front. He Xinjiu walked to the front with a gloomy face. When Kusur Shi saw her gloomy face, he could not help but get even angrier. Well, he actually blamed him for delaying her sleep. This was too outrageous. Yun Chujio, more than a month has passed in the blink of an eye. How's the transformation of your auxiliary spiritual beast? Show it to me. Kusur Shi said with a gloomy face. Although Yun Chujio was in a bad mood, she would not vent her anger on Mr. Shi. To be honest, Mr. Shi was not bad, but he was a little rigid. She agreed and began to gesture. She could gesture for a long time, but nothing came out. Mr. Shi became even angrier when he saw this. Yun Chujio, have you been slacking off? Otherwise, even if you can't successfully transform, you should at least improve. They'll give you another chance. If you still can't transform into a supplementary spirit beast half a month later, I can only report it to the old ancestor truthfully. Yun Chujio's little heart even fluttered a little when she heard the first part of the sentence, but when she heard the last part, she immediately put her heart back into her stomach. If you're willing to tell me, then so be it. It's not like that old fox doesn't know about her. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not seem to care, Guest Elder Sure added. After class, go and cut down an immortal tree. Guest Elder Sure waved his hand and chased this fellow back to his seat. He felt that if he continued talking he would die of anger. After class, Hei Shinjo did not go and cut down the immortal tree. Instead, she continued to lie on the table and sleep soundly. Lan Luofang could only watch from the side bitterly. Seeing this, Lan Luoyan and the others started to ridicule her. What a pig! She only knows how to eat and sleep all day long. With her current state she can't even compare to Sister Xian's finger. Exactly. Sister Xian is at the 6th level of the extreme spiritual stage. She is only at the 9th level of the nirvana stage, not to mention her family background. She actually dares to snatch a man from Sister Xian. She really overestimates herself. Maybe she used some unspeakable means to seduce Lan Luochen. How shameless. While they were talking happily they suddenly shivered because they felt a thick killing intent. Chapter 4901 was too brutal. Lan Luofang felt a shadow flash by her side, and then she heard the screams of Lan Luofang and the others. She focused her eyes and saw that Yun Chujio was holding Lan Luoyan in her left hand and Lan Luomei in her right hand. It was as if she was clapping her hands, knocking the two of them together. Yes, face to face. In a moment, the bridge of Lan Luoyan and Lan Luomei's noses were broken. Their faces were covered in blood, and their shrill screams made people's hair stand on end. Yun Chujio frowned and threw her hands. Lan Luoyan and Lan Luomei crashed into the wall and passed out. Whoever disturbs my sleep again will end up like them. Hei Shinjo went back to her seat and fell asleep again. Everyone looked at each other. They were too fucking brutal. In the blink of an eye, Lan Luoyan and Lan Luomei were caught by her. Moreover, Lan Luoyan and Lan Luomei's cultivation was higher than hers. How did she do it? Everyone had different feelings but no one dared to provoke Yun Chujio. Only a few people who were close to Lan Luoyan carried her and Lan Luomei out of the training hall. Lan Luofang, on the other hand, was guarding Yun Chujio by the side. She was glad that she did not provoke this fiend in the morning. Her morning anger was too scary. Hei Shinjo slept until evening before she opened her eyes and stretched. Lan Luofang saw that she had returned to her usual appearance and said, "Little Jio, you're so scary when you wake up. You're like a completely different person." Yun Chujio's stretching movements slowed down. She recalled what had happened before. Although her memory was still there, it was a little blurry. It seemed to be similar to how she had unsealed the seal after being strongly stimulated in the past. Could it be that this lack of sleep could also stimulate her potential? If that was really the case, this was a good idea. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not reply, Lan Luofang continued to say, "Mr. Sure is punishing you to cut down an immortal tree. Let's go, I'll go with you." Yun Chujio nodded and absent-mindedly followed Lan Luofang to the spot where the immortal tree was cut down. Hei Shinjo had the experience from last time. A moment later she had cut down an undying wood, and in a blink of an eye, she had cut down 3 more in succession. Lan Luofang looked baffled. "Little Jio, Mr. Sure only punished you to cut down 1 tree. Why did you cut down so many trees?" "Save them for later in case I have to come back again. This is called being prepared," Hei Shinjo said with a smile. The guard guarding the immortal wood. After Hei Shinjo received the wooden token, the two of them walked back while chatting and laughing. Lan Luofang cursed in her heart. Little Jio was like a completely different person. She was like a god of death before, but now she was laughing and laughing. Could it be that she had some kind of disease? The two of them walked for some distance, but they were stopped by a group of people. Lan Luoyan's face was bandaged like a pig's head. She gnashed her teeth and said, "Yun Chujio, you hit me, are you going to let it go just like that? I'd rather be punished and I'll kill you today. All of you, attack. Leave Lan Luofang alive and kill this Yun Chujio." Lan Luofang's expression changed. This Lan Luoyan was clearly completely angered by little Jio. Otherwise she wouldn't have used such a desperate method. Just as Yun Chujio was about to let them taste the chili noodles, she heard someone say softly, "Sister Luoyan, quickly stop." Following the voice, a group of people walked over from afar. The leader was Mu Zian. Chapter 4902. You are not thin-skinned. When Lan Luoyan saw that it was Mu Zian, she could not help but cry and said, "Sister Zian, this bitch beat me up for no reason. I'm really angry. Sister Yun has always been naughty. I'll let her apologize to you." Mu Zian comforted her. "Sister Yun, give me some thin-skinned face and apologize to Sister Luoyan immediately. Then this matter will be over. How about it?" Mu Zian looked at Yun Chujio and said with a faint smile. Yun Chujio curled the corners of her lips. You are not a face, hee. Mu Zian was stunned at first, then she became angry out of embarrassment. If she said that she was not a face, then was she mocking her for being thick-skinned? This damn bitch. Sister Yun, I was kind enough to mediate for you. It's fine if you don't appreciate my kindness, but why did you hurl such hurtful words at me? Mu Zian said with a tone that was just right. She glanced into the distance. She had seen cousin Luo Qin earlier, so he must be able to hear their conversation. Then she would show him what kind of person he liked. Yun Chujio. Sister Zian, I said that you are not a person with a thin face. I meant that you have a lot of face. How could you hurtful words at me? Yun Chujio looked innocent. You? Mu Zian was so angry that she choked. This bitch was really sharp-tongued. Yun Chujio's smile became even brighter. She glanced at Lan Luoyen and said, forget it. Since Sister Zian has such a lot of face, I want to argue with her. Sister Luofeng, let's go. Yun Chujio dragged Lan Luofeng and was about to leave. Just as Lan Luofeng was about to go forward, she was stopped by Mu Zian with her eyes. She could only watch as Yun Chujio and Lan Luofeng left. Lan Luoyen was furious, but she did not dare to lash out at Mu Zian. Mu Zian said gently, Sister Luoyen, you are sisters, why do you have to make things so difficult? Besides, cousin said that Sister Yun is his person, so you should not find trouble with her. Her words were naturally meant for Lan Luochen, who was not far away. With this comparison, he would know who was more suitable to be his wife. However, when she looked out of the corner of her eye, Lan Luchen's shadow was nowhere to be seen. He must have gone to chase after Yun Chujio. Mu Zian's hands were tightly clasped together as she gritted her teeth. Good, very good. Then she would think of a way to kill that slut. She walked up to Lan Luoyen and lowered her voice as she said, Sister Luoyen, you want to kill Yun Chujio in such a high-profile manner. Let's not talk about whether you will be punished or not. There are people coming and going here and it's not far from the third concubine. You can't kill her at all. Then let's just let it go? That bitch has repeatedly humiliated me. I really can't take this lying down. Lan Luoyen said through gritted teeth. Lan Luoyen's eyes lit up. If she could do this, it would be for the best. Not only could she take revenge, but she could also be in the limelight. It couldn't be better. She was about to ask what method to use, but Mu Zian gave her a look. The two of them immediately brought people back to the main room to discuss. On the other side, Yun Chujio and Lan Luofeng didn't walk far before Lan Luochen chased after them. Little Jiu, I have something important to tell you. Lan Luochen said with a serious expression. What is it? I'm in a hurry to go back and have dinner. If you have something to say, say it quickly. If you have something to say, say it quickly. He Xinjiu said in a bad mood. Chapter 4903. Yuanji. Lan Luchen's expression froze for a moment, then he said, I'm going to leave for a period of time, but I'll leave Yuanji behind to protect you. You have to be careful. Yun Chujia's eyes suddenly lit up. You're going to leave? Are you never coming back? Lan Luchen's heart ached. Did she really not want to see him? Yun Chujio saw that his expression was dark and gloomy. She thought to herself not to anger him. It would be bad if he didn't leave, so she said, I mean, how long are you going to be gone? Also, Yuanji doesn't need to stay for me. It's better to follow and protect you. I can protect myself. When Lan Luochen heard this, a faint smile appeared on his face. He'll be back soon. At most 3 months, at least 1 month. I have other people to protect me. Yuanji will stay here to protect you. Little Jiu, when I come back, he'll ask our ancestor to agree to our marriage. Yun Chujio interrupted impatiently, I'm still waiting to go back for dinner. I don't have time to listen to your nonsense. Big cousin, have a safe trip. Goodbye. He Xinjiu dragged the dazed Lan Luofeng and ran away. Lan Luochen was sad, helpless, and reluctant. In the end he sighed. Yuanji, who was standing at the side, felt as if his heart was broken. He tried to hold it in, but he still couldn't hold it in. Pavilion Master, you'd better let me go with you. Yun Chujio was in the Lan family. As long as she didn't do anything evil, there was no danger. Moreover, she has a belly full of evil water. It might not be anyone's bad luck. Lan Luochen glanced at him. Go to the third room now to look for little Jiu. You must stay by her side to protect her. If anything happens to little Jiu, it'll take your life. After saying this, Lan Luochen turned around and left. Yuanji was so angry that he was twitching. He was considered to have a good temper, but he was simply about to be angered to the point of collapse by the pavilion master. What was so good about that damn girl that she actually caused him to be so deranged? Yuan Ji gritted his teeth, but he still accepted his fate and went to the third room. I request to see Yun Chu, young mistress, Yuan Ji said to the guard guarding the door. The guard did not dare to be negligent and immediately reported it to Yun Chujio. Yuan Ji was so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, when he recalled what Lan Luoqin said before he left, he had no choice but to give the guard some spirit stones and let him report back. Unfortunately, the reply he received was still that Miss didn't have time to see him. Yuan Ji was both angry and anxious. He finally thought of an idea. He gritted his teeth and said, "Tell Miss that I owed her 10,000 high-grade spirit stones back then. This time, I'm here to return the money." After a while, the guard replied, "Miss Yuan said that you owe her 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones. If the money is not enough, you don't have to pay her back for the time being." Yuan Ji was so angry that his head was buzzing. Good, very good. This wretched girl was getting more and more greedy. Finally, Yuan Ji met He Xingjiu at the price of 100,000 spiritual stones. He Xingjiu tossed the spiritual stones in her hand with a smile and said to Yuan Ji, whose face was livid, "Yuan Ji, are you feeling aggrieved now?" Yuan Ji, I don't want to talk to this iron rooster. Sai, actually we are in the same boat. I don't want to have anything to do with Lan Luoqin, and you don't want Lan Luoqin to get along with me, so we should cooperate well. Why do you have to treat me as your enemy? Thinking back in the East Phoenix country, Imperial Preceptor Yuan Ji was a handsome middle-aged uncle. How come he has become a resentful wife now? Yun Chujio said with a chuckle. Chapter 4904 It was her, Yuan Ji snorted coldly and cursed in his heart. Who was the main culprit that he had become like this? It was her. If it wasn't for her turning the wise pavilion master into a madman, would he need to put in so much effort? Yun Chujio saw that Yuan Ji didn't say anything and continued, "Since we have the same goal, then we are comrades to a certain extent, so you don't have to be so hostile to me. Besides, if you put aside the fact that you're Lan Luoqin's subordinate, it's not a problem for me to treat him like this. It's his wishful thinking and forcing others to do so. What I'm doing is just to protect myself." Yuan Ji snorted again, but he still didn't say anything. "If I can get Lan Luoqin to get rid of his obsession, it would be a great thing for me and you, so I hope you can cooperate with me." Before Yun Chujio could finish her sentence, Yuan Ji interrupted her, "My mission is to protect you temporarily. I'm not interested in anything else." After Yuan Ji finished speaking, he found an empty room and went in. Apparently, he had no intention of continuing the conversation with Yun Chujio. He Xingjiu pursed her lips. "Little girl, let's wait and see." In the Lan family's ancestral house, in the study room of the Lan family's ancestor, an old man wearing a mask asked in puzzlement, "Master, why did you ask someone to bring Mu Ziyan here?" "Master, you asked someone to bring Mu Ziyan here so that she could cultivate a relationship with young Master Luoqin. Why did you send young Master Luoqin away again?" The Lan family's patriarch took a sip of tea and then said, "We can't delay Luoqin's injury any longer. He can completely recover there. Besides, with him around, that girl of the Mu family can't use any means to deal with that troublemaker. Only by sending him away can we have a good show." The old man, was Master having a stroke? The old ancestor of the Lan family continued, "Besides, after the incident in the Zen sect, I found out that that troublemaker has many secrets. However, this girl is too shrewd. Only by putting her in danger can her true strength be revealed. If we don't send the Fallout Kid away, how can we force her to reveal her true strength?" The old man asked with some worry, "However, what about the Divine Devil Hall? They have already urged you twice. If you don't hand Yun Chujio over to them, I'm afraid they will fall out with each other." The Lan family's patriarch snorted coldly, "They are just shouting happily. With the support of the Zen sect, they don't dare to openly fall out with each other. Moreover, according to the investigation, most of the people of the Divine Devil Hall have gathered in the wilderness recently. They can't take care of this little girl at the moment. Who exactly is he? Why did the Divine Devil Hall go through so much trouble to kill him?" The old ancestor of the Lan family shook his head. "The Divine Devil Hall has always been secretive. The reason why they cooperated with them last time was because their conditions were generous enough. I always feel that there should be a big secret hidden in this. That's why I want to keep that troublemaker. Let's wait and see. There's no rush." When the Lan family's ancestor said this, he suddenly frowned. The old man immediately nodded and his figure flashed, and he had already arrived outside the study. However, he looked around and did not find any suspicious people. He only saw a few long-winged fireflies that were commonly seen in the heavy cloud continent on the tree in the courtyard. Although there were beast controllers in the heavy cloud continent, these long-winged fireflies had a strong temperament. No one had ever successfully tamed them. Therefore, the old man only took a few glances before turning around and entering the study. Chapter 4905. She was going to help the gigolo master. There is nothing unusual, the old man said respectfully. The Lan family's ancestor nodded. His courtyard was heavily guarded, so he must have been suspicious. The two chatted for a while and then the old man left. At the same time, one of the long-winged fireflies on the tree flapped its wings and left the ancestral house, flying to He Xinjia's house. This long-winged firefly was caught by Yun Chujio a few days ago, so she did not have much hope. After all, the Lan family's ancestors' cultivation was too strong. She did not expect to really get useful information this time. When He Xinjio heard the news it sent back, her eyes flashed. Wild Hope Wilderness? It seemed that the gigolo and the others were trapped there. She recalled the records about the Wild Hope Wilderness that she had read in the library and made a decision. She wanted to go to the Wild Hope Wilderness to help the pretty boy and the rest. If it were any other place she would not go and cause trouble. But the Wild Hope Wilderness, the scum of the Divine Devil Hall, you deserve your bad luck. However, she had to wait for an opportunity to leave the Lan family. This opportunity was the heavenly thunder that would strike Mount Sumeru in 10 days. At that time, not only would she be able to increase her spiritual power, she could also take advantage of this opportunity to escape from the Lan family's surveillance. Of course, after helping the pretty boy and the others escape, she still had to return to the Lan family. After all, this place was safer than other places. The main purpose of her trip this time was also to help the pretty boy treat the cold poison. At the very least, her blood was still effective against the cold poison in his body. At the very least, she could even kiss him on the lips. Perhaps she could let the Guai Chao seduce some of the cold poison in his body. After Yun Chujio made up her mind, she felt that the depression she had been feeling for the past few days had dissipated a lot and she fell asleep soundly. In the next few days, everything went as usual. Lan Luoyen did not find trouble with Yun Chujio again, and the Lan family's sect competition had begun again. Yun Chujio was not interested in this competition at all. She was just waiting for the heavenly thunder to come so that she could take the opportunity to go to the wilderness. She was not interested, but there were people who were interested in her. Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu had been defeated by her last time, and they were both trying their best to take revenge. There was also Lan Luoji. Last time he was tricked by her with 50 spiritual stones. He hated her to death. As for Lan Luoyen, she wanted to kill him. Therefore, after Elder Ning announced the start of the competition, the four of them challenged Yun Chujio. The problem was that one person could only fight two people. Only two of the four people had the chance to fight Yun Chujio. The crowd was so angry that their noses almost went crooked. It was the first time they heard of a competition. At this moment, Mu Zian said gently, "Cousin Luo Cheng, your cultivation level is much higher than Sister Yun's. Let Luo Yen compete with her." When Lan Luoqing heard this, he was immediately overwhelmed by the favor and said, "Since Sister Zian has said so, let's do as you say." Lan Luomu glanced at Lan Luoji, and Lan Luoji tactfully withdrew. He was just a bastard son, how would he dare to go against Lan Luomu? Lan Luoyen was the first to step onto the stage, her face full of pride. She was going to teach this bitch a lesson today, and it was all her own fault. Seeing that Yun Chujio was dawdling for a long time and did not step onto the stage, she said impatiently, "Yun Chujio, come up quickly." Chapter 4906. Infuriating Yun Chujio looked at Lan Luoyen with a smile and said, "Lan Luoyen, you've made a mistake. You can challenge me, but I won't accept the challenge. Don't you think it's infuriating?" She glanced at Lan Luoyen and Mu Zian. These two bastards must have thought of some bad idea to deal with her. She heard that the Mu family was good at refining pills, and the Lan family's competition did not prohibit the use of talismans and poisons. They probably wanted to poison her to death, right? TSK, how naive. Lan Luoyen was so angry that her head was buzzing. That's right, the family's competition only needed to compete with two people in the end. There was no rule that required one to accept a challenge. So, she had been busy for so many days in vain? At this moment, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "How about this, if you give me 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, I'll agree to compete with you. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it." Lan Luoyen was so angry that she almost fell off the stage. How shameless. She had never seen such a shameless person. She was about to refuse when she saw Mu Zian wink at her. She remembered that she had made all the necessary preparations. Even if she wasted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, it would still be worth it, so she said, "Okay, I promise you. Then you transfer the money to me first, then I'll go on stage." "I'm afraid that you won't admit it," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Lan Luoyin had no choice but to transfer the spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Then after a long while Yun Chujio didn't go on stage. She urged her in a bad mood, "Yun Chujio, you've already accepted my spirit stones. Do you want to go back on your word? Come on up quickly. Sister Luoyin, I want you to stand on the stage for a while longer. After all, if I go up, I will kick you off the stage in less than 10 moves, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Yun Chujio, stop talking nonsense. If you don't come up, you will lose, Lan Luoyin said angrily. Okay, then I admit defeat. Elder Ning, did you hear that? Lan Luoyin agreed that I admit defeat, so I admit defeat, He Xinjiu said with a smile. Elder Ning immediately announced, Lan Luoyin, the eldest son, wins. Lan Luoyin, her heart was like a dog that was bawling. She had prepared for more than 10 days and in the end it was over? She didn't want a victory, okay? She wanted that bitch's life. The most infuriating thing was that she even gave that bitch 100,000 spiritual stones. It was infuriating. Mu Zian was also furious. Was this Lan Luoyin a fool? Why did she have to say such words? Now all her previous preparations were in vain. Lan Luofang gritted her teeth and looked at Lan Luofang, who was beside Yun Chujio. Since there was no way to deal with that Yun Chujio, she would let Lan Luofang take the blame for her. Thus she said, Lan Luofang, I challenge you. Lan Luofang remembered what Yun Chujio said to her and said indifferently, I won't accept your challenge. You can find someone else. Lan Luofang was so angry that she almost died. Ever since Lan Luofang followed this Yun Chujio, she became more and more shameless. Lan Luofang said a few harsh words, but Lan Luofang remembered what Yun Chujio said, people were shameless and invincible. She thought that Lan Luofang was just barking like a dog and wouldn't accept the challenge no matter what. In the end, Lan Luoyin had to find someone else to compete. Although she won 2 matches in the end, she was still so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. Chapter 4907 Fell asleep. Yun Chujio looked at the twisted faces of Mu Zian and Lan Luoyin, and her heart was bursting with joy. These 2 idiots still wanted to scheme against her? In your dreams. However, this guy immediately slapped his thigh. Oh no, she was only focused on teasing Lan Luoyin. She did not go on stage just now, and in the end she might have to face Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu again. Wasn't she making herself uncomfortable? Although she was not afraid of them, it was a little difficult without exposing the secret. Xiao Hanio's curse could only be used to deal with one person. What about the other person? She suddenly thought of Buddha's candle. In the Zen sect, Buddha's candle could take over another person's body. If it took over Lan Lucheng's or Lan Luma's body, wouldn't everything be fine? This fellow thought again. No, if that was the case, the ancestor of the Lan family would definitely not let her off. She had to think of another way. At this moment, Buddha's candle said weakly, I have to make one thing clear first. The Zen sect has psyche power, and those monks practice Buddhist power, so I can easily take over those monks' bodies. But outside, I probably can't. Yun Chujio, it was nothing. It was really nothing. She was already used to it. No matter how good a treasure was, it would be useless to her. Although He Xinjiu comforted herself like this, she was still half-dead angry. The strong resentment scared Lan Luofang, who was beside her. Little Jiu, you didn't sleep well yesterday again? He Xinjiu's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, she could try to wake up angry. Maybe she could kill everyone. It just so happened that there were more people in the family competition this time than last time, so there was no way she could finish the competition in a day. As long as she waited until dawn before sleeping, she could totally use her anger to teach them a lesson. The more she thought about it, the more beautiful she became. She immediately said to Lan Luofang with a smile, Sister Luofang, you are really my little lucky star. Lan Luofang, little Jiu is acting up again, isn't he? Everyone tacitly did not challenge Yun Chujio again. They wanted to leave her to Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu. Although there was still Lan Luohan in the 3rd branch, everyone did not think highly of him. As time passed, the sky gradually darkened, but the competition was still going on. He Xinjiu yawned as she watched, reminding herself in her heart that she could not sleep, she could not sleep. She had to wait until dawn to sleep. This way she would have the energy to clean up these dregs when she woke up. However, this guy still fell asleep after watching. Lan Luofeng was speechless. How big-hearted was this guy? She looked at the fight on the spectator stand in a daze, then looked at the people around her. She asked Lan Luofeng in a daze, "I fell asleep last night? Why didn't you wake me up?" Lan Luofeng, who would dare to scream when you woke up? He Xinjiu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It's over, why did she fall asleep? At this moment, Lan Luomu sneered and said, "Yun Chuzhou, only Lan Luoqing and I have a chance to challenge you now. Do you want to fight me or Lan Luoqing first?" Yun Chuzhou, "I admit defeat." Lan Luomu sneered and said, "Admit defeat? We don't agree with you admitting defeat. You have to fight with us." Yun Chuzhou wanted to fight with them, but she found that the sky had begun to darken. She looked up and saw a large cloud gathering in the direction of Mount Meru. It was the heavenly lightning. She immediately lost the patience to fight with Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing. She jumped onto the stage and said, "You two trash, come at me together." Chapter 4908 Old Fox, get out here. The moment Yun Chujia's words left her mouth, the entire place fell silent and burst into laughter. Haha, what a joke. Is this Yun Chuzhou crazy? 1 versus 2. Don't you know how she won last time? She's overestimating herself. That's right. She probably thinks that she's going to lose no matter what, which is why she said that. I think she's just going through the motions. She'll have to admit defeat after a few moves. What you said makes sense. I think that's also true. Even if the sun rises from the west, it's impossible for her to defeat Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu by herself. Yun Chuzhou heard everyone's discussion and cursed in her heart. Damn it, why does everyone know her so well? She just planned to go up and randomly make a few moves before rushing to Mount Meru. The heavenly lightning didn't wait for anyone. Lan Luomu pursed his lips. Yun Chuzhou was dreaming. He and Lan Luoqing had already reached an agreement. She wanted to give up after a few gestures? Impossible. The two of them together with the 4 spiritual beasts could completely block her escape route. She would not even have the chance to jump off the stage. Yun Chuzhou naturally knew that Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing would not let her give up easily. However, she had the talisman and chili noodles in her hands. It was very easy for her to escape and jump off the stage. This fellow was confident, so he jumped onto the stage with a smile. Just as the 3 of them were about to fight, Elder Ning called Yun Chuzhou to the side and said in a voice that only the 2 of them could hear, "Miss Cousin, the old ancestor just sent a message saying that if you can't win this round, he will send someone to send you to young Master Luoqin after the competition and let you cultivate with him." Yun Chuzhou, what kind of rotten idea is this old fox having? Yun Chuzhou gritted her teeth. Anyway, she still had talismans and poison. If she planned carefully, she should be able to take care of these 2 dregs. At this moment, Elder Ning raised his voice and said, "In this round, the 3 of you are forbidden to use talismans and poison. Yes, chili and pepper noodles are also forbidden. Alright, we can begin." Yun Chuzhou, old fox. Get out here. I'm going to kill you. It was clearly only during the family competition that talismans and poison were prohibited. Why was this small competition not allowed to be used? This old fox was doing it on purpose. Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu heard this and looked at each other. They could see the killing intent in each other's eyes. Yun Chuzhou, you're dead for sure. At this moment, Yun Chujia's heart was like a dog that was bickering. If she did not have the talismans and poison, it would not be too difficult for her to find an opportunity to jump off the competition stage. However, that damned old fox insisted that she win first place. This was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Most importantly, she did not have the time to waste with these 2 dregs. If Wu Yun took advantage of this moment to escape, she would have nowhere to cry. The only reliable method she had now was the curse of the Xiao Hanyo. However, she only had 1 chance every day, yet she was facing 2 people. It was too difficult. Just as Yun Chuzhou was worrying, Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing had already made their move. The 2 of them knew that Yun Chuzhou was full of bad intentions, so they immediately launched their killing moves. Their natal spirit beasts and auxiliary spirit beasts all materialized, and the 2 of them also attacked Yun Chuzhou at the same time. Yun Chuzhou did not have time to think too much. She hurriedly shot out several small purple needles, and as she dodged, she summoned cheap slut number 1 to release her sword intent. Chapter 4909 Yuan Ji 4 spirit beasts, Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing trapped Yun Chuzhou, while Yun Chuzhou was running for her life. Most of the people below the stage looked like they were watching a good show. As for Mu Zian and the others, they were gloating. After this competition, even if Yun Chujio didn't die, she would be skinned alive. Anyone with eyes could see that Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu didn't intend to give her a chance to admit defeat. Perhaps Yun Chujio would die on the competition stage soon. Lan Luoyan was secretly resentful. This bitch cheated her of 100,000 spirit stones, but so what? She was dead for sure. Of course, there were also a few people who were worried about Yun Chujio, such as Lan Luofang and Lan Dimeo. Lan Luofang was truly worried about Yun Chujio's safety, while Lan Dimeo was more calculating about benefits. He calculated in his heart that if it really did not work, he would have to save her in the end. No matter what, he had to keep her alive. However, he could only act when the situation was critical. Otherwise, the big branch and the second branch would be dissatisfied. In the corner, there was another person who had been paying attention to the situation on the stage. This person was Yuan Ji. Yuan Ji's heart was eager for Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu to kill Yun Chujio. This way their pavilion master wouldn't have to go crazy over this stinky girl. However, when he thought about the fact that if this stinky girl died, there was an 80% chance that he wouldn't be able to survive, he was extremely conflicted. Should he save her or not? At this moment on the stage, Yun Chujio was already in a perilous situation. If not for her extremely agile movements and the 3 layers of sword intent, she would have died long ago. Even so, she was forced to the point of not being able to retaliate. She could only passively dodge. Yun Chujio saw that the sky was getting darker and darker. She was very anxious. How could she quickly defeat these 2 dregs? Should she use a small flame? However, this way she would be suspected of the fire in the Imperial City. It was too risky. At this moment, He Xingjiu missed De Hua very much. If she had De Hua, she would at least have some time to catch her breath. The Guai Chao in her dantian waved its leaves desperately. In her heart, she cried out silently, "Let me go, let me go, let me go." Once the Gowei Batsao appeared, who could compete with it? Unfortunately, He Xingjiu had never considered the Gowei Batsao. It was not like she did not let it go last time, but what happened in the end? Being chased around by other people's spiritual beasts, it was simply too weak. He Xingjiu thought of her jinx skill again, desperately shouting in her heart, "Hurry up and use heavenly lightning to chop these 2 bastards to death." However, it was useless. These skills of hers were always active and sometimes not. It was simply too fucking conniving. If it weren't for the conditions that didn't allow it, she would have taken out a piece of Bodhi leaf and played a song to try it out. This guy gritted his teeth. Forget it, let's just take out a large kitchen knife and try it out. No matter what, a large kitchen knife should be better than little bitch number 1. Sigh, no matter how many immortal swords there were, they couldn't be compared to a large kitchen knife. When this fellow thought of this, her heart jolted. She seemed to have a skill that she had not used for a long time. That was flying swords. Back then, when she met a strong enemy, she would occasionally use her spiritual sense to control a few flying swords to attack the enemy. The effect was still pretty good. She wondered if the effect would be even more powerful now that she had mastered sword intent. He Xingjiu was now desperate. Moreover, she did not have the time to practice. She simply summoned little slut number 2 to little slut number 9 and floated in midair. Instantly, everyone was stunned. Chapter 49:10 The Forgotten Flying Sword Skill. Oh my god, what is Yun Chujio doing? If we include the sword in her hand, she can control 9 swords at the same time? TSK, you're thinking too much. She's just a pompous person. It's impossible for her to control 9 swords at the same time. She's just trying to scare people. That's right. It's impossible for her to use the sword in her hand to maintain the sword intent and command the 8 swords at the same time. If you don't believe me, just watch. In a few seconds, those swords will fall to the ground. Everyone shook their heads at Yun Chujio's behavior. They felt that she was deliberately mystifying things because no one had ever done that before. Because no matter how powerful a person's spiritual sense was, it was impossible to control so many swords at the same time, let alone use them in a fight. Yuan Ji had heard that Yun Chujio could control many swords at the same time, but he felt that Lan Luoqin was exaggerating. After all, in Lan Luoqin's eyes, even Yun Chujio's eyelashes were good. Moreover, even if she could control multiple swords, it would depend on the level of the opponent. If the opponent was just an ordinary demon beast, perhaps she only needed to control those swords. But now she was facing Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu. This little trick only made people laugh after a meal. Just as Yuan Ji was thinking, he heard the laughter of the crowd. He looked at the stage and saw the 8 swords that were floating in the air were slapped to the ground by Lan Luoqing and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts. Just as they were about to float, they were slapped down by the spiritual beasts. Lan Luoyen gloated and shouted, "Yun Chujio, don't embarrass yourself here. How can a good-for-nothing like you command so many swords at the same time? Dream on." Lan Luomei also echoed, "That's right, you don't even understand how to use a sword and you still want to use a flying sword to hurt people? Are you stupid?" Ah. Yun Chujio didn't have the energy to care about their sarcasm. At this moment she had to use the little bitch number 1 in her hand to protect herself, and on the other hand, she had to mobilize the little bitch number 2 to number 9. "Can you guys fight for me? You are immortal swords, okay. Each and every one of you is drunk, kill them all." The little bitch number 2 to number 9 were also very aggrieved, and it was not their fault. Usually Hei Shinjio only used the little bitch number 1 so they had no chance to come out. Besides, it was mainly because of Hei Xinjia's spiritual sense. Her own skills were rusty, so why should she rely on them? Shameless. Hei Shinjio also knew this. She had not used her skills for a long time, so it was inevitable that she was a little out of practice. However, she would not be so easily humiliated by Lan Luoqing and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts. She was trying to numb them. She wanted to take advantage of their carelessness to familiarize herself with the operation of the 8 immortal swords, and then, she would hit them with one hit. Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu saw that Yun Chujia's treasured swords had been smashed into pieces by their spiritual beasts, and their faces showed contempt. This Yun Chujia was struggling on the brink of death. She was dead for sure today. Yuanji was speechless. This was the amazing flying sword that their pavilion master had mentioned? Pavilion master, how blind are you? With this level of skill, any random person on the street would be better than her, alright? At this moment, the 8 flying swords that were smashed by the spirit beast suddenly burst out and stabbed towards Lan Luoqing and Lan Luma's vital points respectively. Chapter 49:11. Wake up. Due to the speed of the flying swords, Lan Luoqing and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts could not react at all. They allowed the 8 flying swords to stab at Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu. The crowd below the stage cried out in surprise. "Oh my god, what happened? Weren't those flying swords still swaying from side to side just now? How did they become so fast now? Could it be that Yun Chujio did it on purpose just now? Just to make Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu lower their guard? If that was the case, this Yun Chujio was too wicked. She was simply too wicked." Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu were fighting with Yun Chujio. Even in their dreams they never thought that the 8 flying swords would suddenly explode. They didn't even have the time to raise their spiritual energy shields. They could only try their best to avoid the vital parts of their bodies and hit the flying swords with the wind of their palms. What shocked them was that the flying swords could actually avoid the wind of their palms. How was this possible? Because they were too shocked, their movements were inevitably a little slow. Although they avoided the vital parts, both of them were injured by the flying swords to varying degrees. At this moment, Yun Chujio had the little black bird curse Lan Luomu, who was closer to the edge of the competition stage. Lan Luma's leg was already stabbed by the flying swords, and after being cursed by the little black bird, he immediately knelt on the ground. Yun Chujio naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. She flew up and kicked Lan Luomu off the stage. The people below the stage did not have the time to cry out in surprise when they saw the 8 flying swords flying up and down, separating Lan Luoqing's 2 spiritual beasts from him. Yun Chujio looked at Lan Luoqing and curled the corners of her lips. Without the spiritual beasts, Lan Luoqing would not be her match at all, not to mention that he had already been stabbed in the right shoulder by the flying swords. If she was not in a hurry to rush to Mount Meru, she would definitely play a good game with him. What a pity. Yun Chujio shot out several small purple needles at Lan Luoqing. Although the power of these small things was limited, they could divert Lan Luoqing's attention. Lan Luoqing gnashed his teeth in hatred. He really could not understand how Yun Chujio could control 8 flying swords at the same time. This bitch really deserved to die. Just as he was slightly distracted, a flying sword that was originally blocking the spiritual beast suddenly changed direction and shot towards Lan Luoqing's back. Lan Luoqing sensed the movement behind him and subconsciously dodged to the side. Yun Chujio had already predicted his reaction. She calmly raised her sword and stabbed towards Lan Luoqing's front. Lan Luoqing had no choice but to dodge again, but he forgot that Yun Chujio had deliberately lured him to the edge of the competition stage. He slipped and fell directly below the competition stage. Yun Chujio put away her flying sword and looked at Elder Ning, who was already in a daze. She curled the corners of her lips. Elder Ning, wake up. This is the competition stage. Elder Ning, wake up. He wasn't sleeping. He was scared. Okay. He originally thought that the ancestor was deliberately messing with Yun Chujio. With her cultivation, how could she defeat Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu in a 1 versus 2 battle? He didn't expect that this little girl could command 8 flying swords at the same time. This was too unbelievable. Although she had taken the advantage of surprise, if Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu had been prepared, she might not have won, but this was enough to surprise people. No wonder the old ancestor would make such a request. It seemed that the old ancestor had a sharp eye. Elder Ning calmed down a little and then said in a clear voice, "This round, the 3 branches, Yun Chujio wins." Chapter 49:12 was that he was blind. The audience below the stage were all dumbstruck. At this moment they had also regained their senses. Oh my god, Yun Chujio actually won? Commanding 8 flying swords at the same time, no 9. Don't forget that she still had 1 in her hands. This was too unbelievable. Mu Xian's expression was very ugly. She had underestimated this slut. Her spiritual sense was actually so strong? So what? In front of her, this little bitch was just an ant. If she wasn't afraid that her cousin would be unhappy, she could kill her with just a finger. Yuan Ji, who was in the corner, decided to take back his words. It wasn't that their pavilion master was blind, it was that he was blind. He didn't expect this troublemaker to have some real ability other than his mouth. Just as Yuan Ji was thinking about it, he saw Yun Chujio jump down from the competition stage. She held her stomach and said, make way, I'm in a hurry to go to the toilet." Lan Dimeo wanted to praise her, but when he saw this, the corner of his mouth twitched, and he had no choice but to let her leave. Yuan Ji watched Yun Chujio run away and could only wait at the same place. He could not follow her to the female toilet, right? However, after a long while, Yun Chujio did not return. At this time, the sky had completely darkened. He pondered for a moment and guessed that the troublemaker had gone straight to the 3rd room. However, when he returned to Yun Chujio's courtyard, he found that Yun Chujio had not returned. Where had she gone? He Xinjiu naturally rushed to Mount Meru in a hurry. When they left the city, the guards at the city gate saw He Xinjiu heading in the direction of Mount Meru. They were puzzled. Could it be that Miss Yun was going to have another drill? This time they had to be alert at night so as not to disappoint Miss Yun. Yun Chujio did not know what the guards were thinking. She flew towards Mount Meru on her flying spirit tool. This fellow was burning with anxiety, afraid that she would not be able to make it in time to be struck. This fellow sighed. She had brought this flying spirit tool from the sky-high continent. Its speed could not be compared to the flying spirit tool of the Lan family's ancestor. If there was a chance, she would have to buy a few high-quality flying spirit tools from the Qing family in the Valley of Fog. When she was close to the edge of Mount Meru, Yun Chujio remembered that Mount Meru was forbidden from flying. She quickly directed the flying spirit tool to land on the ground and ran towards the depths of Mount Meru. While running, she observed the gathering dark clouds in the sky and was delighted. This time it was a young girl. The dark cloud from last time was too sneaky. It had run away when she saw Wu Yun at the Zen sect, which had caused her to miss even a bolt of lightning, let alone a cloud wing. Thinking of this, He Xinjiu said arrogantly to Wu Yun in the sky, "Hey, that bastard in the sky, try to strike me if you have the ability." When Wu Yun in the sky heard the provocation, he felt that this little girl below was an idiot. She actually dared to provoke Wu Yun? Was she crazy? It could casually strike a few heavenly lightning bolts and turn her into ashes. Then, after a dozen bolts of lightning, the little girl was still alive and kicking, and her attitude became even more arrogant. "Hey, how dare a piece of trash like you float in the sky? You should find a hole to hide in, aren't you too shameless? TSK, who gave you the courage? How dare such a weak piece of trash come out of a cloud? Aren't you afraid of being treated like cotton candy?" Chapter 49:13. Another cloud wing was in his hands. Wu Yun was so angry that he was shivering. Lightning struck down one after another, but it did not do anything to He Xinjiu even after more than 2 hours. Wu Yun thought for a moment. The mission that he came here for this time was not this stupid girl. It was more important to complete the mission first. Just when he was about to give up, he heard Yun Chujio exclaim, "Ouch! I can't take it anymore. I can't hold on any longer. If you strike me 10 more times, I'll definitely die." Wu Yun was immediately overjoyed and immediately struck He Xinjiu. After repeating this over and over again, when Wu Yun regained his senses, The heavenly lightning that he carried had already been used up, but the wretched girl below was completely unharmed. Ah, that was not right. Her hair had already been chopped off. He Xingqiu was overjoyed. Wu Yun was so gullible. It would be even more perfect if she took out another cloud wing. The guy took out a porcelain bottle in pain. Inside was the blood that she had drained in advance to treat Di Biming's cold poison. A sinister smile appeared on her lips. As long as her blood was on the cloud wing would break away from Wu Yun's body and become hers. It was so wonderful. This fellow hid the porcelain bottle in his sleeve, clutched his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he gnashed his teeth and said, "Wang Ba Yun, just you wait. As long as I don't die, I'm not done with you. Don't think that I don't know that your lightning power has almost been used up. Unless you land very low, there's nothing you can do to me. It's never too late for little Jiu to take revenge. Don't let me see you again or I'll definitely kill you." Wu Yun in the sky almost laughed like a pig. Is this little girl a fool? She's simply helping it out. What an idiot. Wu Yun immediately descended lower and lower. When it was about 30 feet away from Yun Chuzhou suddenly jumped up and threw the fresh blood in the porcelain bottle towards Wu Yun. Wu Yun was shocked and subconsciously rushed to fly higher. Then, it tragically saw one of its cloud wings, flying towards Yun Chuzhou, and it was the kind that couldn't wait. Wu Yun was instantly dumbfounded. What was going on? That was its cloud wings. Why did it feel that the stinky girl was its mother? Oh God. Was he hallucinating? Why did she have a small dark cloud? Although this small dark cloud's level was very low, how could a human control Wu Yun? One had to know that other than Tian Dao no one could control Wu Yun. This was too frightening. Wu Yun did not have time to think about it carefully. It was too scary. It would never come here again. No wonder number 250 did not come here previously. He even said that he would bring Xian Yun along. Bah! He had tricked her. He Xingqiu saw that Wu Yun was like a wild horse that had gone off the reins. She did not look back and did not chase after him. After a while Yun Chuzhou heard the sound of thunder. She did not pay too much attention to it. It was probably that silly cloud that had randomly struck her. She rolled her eyes, changed out of her clothes and threw them into a deep pit. Then she took a disguise pill and headed in the opposite direction of the imperial city. Because her flying spirit tool was brought from the towering sky continent, she was afraid that it would be too eye-catching. Therefore she went to the nearest city and bought a new flying spirit tool. After changing her appearance again, she headed towards the wilderness. Little Gigolo, your little cutie is here. Chapter 49-14 Struck by lightning. He Xingqiu was happy, but Yuan Ji was miserable. He waited in the third room for quite a while, but Yun Chuzhou did not return. He suddenly felt that something was not right. He hurriedly sent people to investigate. After learning that Yun Chuzhou had gone to Mount Meru, he also rushed to Mount Meru. However, seeing that Mount Meru was filled with lightning, he did not dare to get too close. He could only wait at the foot of Mount Meru. Although he had not personally seen Yun Chuzhou being struck by lightning, he had heard from Lan Luochen that normal heavenly lightning would not do anything to Yun Chuzhou. Moreover, her cultivation method depended on being struck by lightning. Yuan Ji cursed in his heart. This troublemaker's cultivation method was different from others. What a pervert. He could only curse in his heart as he waited. Finally, when the sky gradually brightened, he was surprised to find that Wu Yun was rapidly descending towards the mountain. However, due to the distance and the cover of the trees, he could not see what exactly happened. Just when he was confused, he saw that Wu Yun was rapidly flying towards him. Behind him was He Xingqiu, who was sitting on the little Wu Yun. Yuan Ji had heard about the matter of He Xingqiu having a little Wu Yun, but he had always thought that it was a spirit tool, and that it was a rumor spread by He Xingqiu. However, at this moment, he knew with absolute certainty that it was definitely not a rumor, because Mount Meru was a no-fly zone. If it wasn't for the little Wu Yun, it would have been impossible to fly. However, his eyes weren't playing tricks on him, right? Why did he feel that Wu Yun in front of him was running for his life? Oh God, could it be that even Wu Yun was afraid of that troublemaker? Just as Yuan Ji was thinking about it, he saw that the little Wu Yun had disappeared without a trace. He didn't know if it had landed. He was extremely curious about Yun Chuzhiu's little Wu Yun. Hence, he could not wait to run up Mount Meru wanting to see that little Wu Yun. However, the Wu Yun in the sky was filled with anger and had nowhere to vent it. Seeing that Yuan Ji could not wait to run up the mountain, his heart was filled with hatred. This idiot must be that smelly girl's accomplice. It could not kill that smelly girl, but it could not kill him. It just so happened that there were still a few heavenly lightning bolts left so he could use them to strike him. Thus boom. A heavenly lightning bolt struck toward Yuan-ji. Thus, he was struck by this heavenly lightning bolt. Yuan-ji was simply struck dumb. Who was he? Where was he? What was he doing? Fortunately, his reaction speed was still fast. He quickly activated all the defensive spirit tools on his body, even the defensive immortal tool he used to protect his life. At the same time, he also set up a spirit energy shield. At this time, another heavenly lightning struck down. Yuan-ji tried his best to jump to the side and narrowly avoided this heavenly lightning. Wu Yun in the sky was so angry. This idiot actually dared to dodge? Thus, Wu Yun struck the remaining 3 bolts of heavenly lightning towards Yuan-ji. And it was the kind of heavenly lightning that could bend. The unlucky Yuan-ji tried his best to dodge, but he was still struck by the 3 bolts of heavenly lightning. Although he had a defensive immortal tool and a spirit tool, he was still knocked out. Wu Yun saw that he was knocked out by himself, so he floated away with satisfaction. 2 hours later, Yuan-ji finally opened his eyes with a bald lady on his head. He felt that he had nothing left to live for. What did he do wrong? Why was he struck by lightning? Why? When Yuan-ji thought about how he was so miserable because of Yun Chuzhou, he immediately rushed up the mountain in anger. In the end, there was nothing but a few deep pits and a few strands of rags. Chapter 49:15 The miserable Yuan-ji. Yuan-ji naturally would not think that He Xingjiu was dead. He was not stupid. If he had not seen her chasing after Wu Yun on the little black cloud, perhaps he would have believed it. Now, if anyone were to tell him that Yun Chuzhou was struck to death by lightning, he would definitely beat him into a pig's head. He thought that Yun Chuzhou had returned to the imperial city, so he changed his clothes. Thinking of his bald head, he could only take out a bamboo hat and put it on his head. However, when he returned to the imperial city, the guards said that they did not see Yun Chuzhou return to the city. Yuan-ji gritted his teeth and sent a message to his subordinates, trying his best to find Yun Chuzhou's whereabouts. He hated He Xingjiu to death. This troublemaker really knew how to cause trouble. Where did she run off to? If she was captured by the Divine Devil Hall, the pavilion master would definitely not let him off. After searching for half a day, there was still no news. Yuan-ji was instantly in a dilemma. It's over, this troublemaker is trying to get him killed. Where did she go? At this moment, a subordinate provided a piece of news. Someone had bought a flying spirit tool in one city next door. Yuan-ji's eyes immediately lit up. After asking for some details, Yuan-ji immediately concluded that the person must be Yun Chuzhou. That was because the woman did not bargain at all, nor did she ask about the performance of the flying spirit tool. She directly paid for the flying spirit tool, and was clearly very anxious. Of course, there was another important reason, and that was that the woman also wore a bamboo hat. Yuan-ji immediately went to the shop to ask about the style of the flying spirit tool. However, it was a pity that Yun Chuzhou bought the most ordinary flying spirit tool, so it was impossible to trace the clues from the flying spirit tool. Yuan-ji had no choice but to send a message to Lan Luochen, but it did not succeed. He was anxious. Where did that troublemaker go? He took out the map and looked at it. He was suddenly shocked. Did that troublemaker go to the wilderness? He had only received the news recently. For nearly a month, the wilderness was not very peaceful. He guessed that the people of the Divine Devil Hall were there to kill Di Baiming. The reason why Yuan-ji was able to receive the news at the same time as the ancestor of the Lan family was because of his connections. However, their pavilion master had been caused a lot of trouble by that troublemaker. If it wasn't for her, their pavilion master would have already soared to the sky. How could he have fallen to such a state? However, how did that troublemaker find out? Could it be that Di Baiming had sent her a message? Yuan-ji curled his lips when he thought of this. That Di Baiming had even said that he would treat that troublemaker well. Since that was the case, why did he tell that troublemaker the address? Wasn't he asking her to send herself to her death? That troublemaker was really blind. Their pavilion master was more than 10,000 times stronger than Di Baiming. Yuan-ji cursed silently as he pondered. The problem now was that the troublemaker had most likely gone to the wilderness. Should he chase after her or not? Honestly speaking, he naturally did not want to chase after her. He wished that Yun Chuzhou and Di Baiming would be killed by the Divine Devil Hall. However, if he did not chase after her, if that troublemaker died or was captured by the Divine Devil Hall, it would be easy for the pavilion master to spare him. He was afraid that their pavilion master would lose half his life because of his sadness. After struggling for a while, Yuan Ji still decided to chase after Yun Chujio and forcefully bring her back to the imperial city. Just as Yuan Ji was about to set off, a gust of wind coincidentally blew over, and the bamboo hat on Yuan Ji's head was blown off. Chapter 49:16 Your new hairstyle is quite unique. The coolness coming from the top of his head, as well as the eyes of his subordinates and passers-by, made Yuan Ji feel terrible. He swore that he had never been so humiliated in his life. He wished that he could find a hole to hide in. He looked at the bamboo hat that was gone for good and felt that he could not live this life anymore. He gritted his teeth. No matter what, he had to find that troublemaker as soon as possible. Otherwise, if he really let her go to the wilderness, she would be sending herself to her death. At this moment, He Xinjiu, who could be strangled to death by Yuan Ji, was hurrying on her way. After being struck by lightning, her spiritual power level had broken through to the 3rd level of the extreme spiritual realm. Although she was still very weak, this fellow was still quite satisfied. After all, compared to the thunder desolation in the towering sky continent, Mount Meru only had 1 lightning strike a month, which was simply wonderful. When she passed by the next town, she bought 2 more flying spirit tools, and they were slightly different from the first one she bought. As a result, although Yuan Ji's flying spirit tools were faster than Yun Chuji's, they were perfectly missed by Yun Chujio. Of course, this was within He Xinjiu's expectations. That blue dregs made it sound nice, saying that Yuan Ji would protect her, but it was actually to keep an eye on her. Yuan Ji chased after her for several days, but he still couldn't find He Xinjiu. He was so angry that he was twitching. Did that troublemaker disappear into thin air? He thought about it. Anyway, that troublemaker's destination was the Wild Hope Wilderness. He would wait at the entrance of the Wild Hope Wilderness, waiting for her. 2 days passed in a row, and Yuan Ji did not manage to stop Yun Chujio. His heart could not help but beat faster. Was he wrong? Was the troublemaker's destination not the Wild Hope Wilderness? Buzz 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 buzz. Yuan Ji looked at the flying flower belly poison tail spirit bees with some annoyance. For some reason, many flower belly poison tail spirit bees had flown to the Wild Hope Wilderness from other places in the past 2 days. Could it be that some spirit plants were blooming recently? Fortunately, on the morning of the 3rd day, Yuan Ji blocked He Xinjiu, who had changed her appearance, at the entrance. As Yun Chujio applied the modified hair growth pill every day, her hair had recovered to its original state. Yuan Ji, on the other hand, was in a hurry to chase after Yun Chujio, so he did not have time to buy any hair growth pills. At this moment, her hair was only about 1 inch long. Yun Chujio, come back with me immediately. Otherwise, I won't stand on ceremony. Yuan Ji said coldly. Uncle, you have the wrong person, He Xinjiu said calmly. No one usually enters the wilderness, so it's useless even if you disguise yourself. If you don't want to make a scene, come back to the Lan family with me immediately, Yuan Ji said angrily. Yun Chujio shrugged. She didn't expect to fool Yuan Ji, so she giggled. Yuan Ji was furious. How did this hairstyle come about? Didn't she know? But when Yuan Ji thought about it, she really didn't know. He decided to swallow the fact that he had been struck by lightning to avoid being ridiculed by this darn girl. Don't talk about such nonsense. Let me ask you, are you going to leave with us? Yun Chujio spread out her hands. It wasn't easy for me to get here. Naturally, I won't leave with you just like that. How about this? I see that you've brought quite a number of people here. Help me save the pretty boy and he'll return to the Lan family with you. What do you think? Yuan Ji was furious. Yun Chujio, are you crazy? We will help you save Di Baiming? I wish that he would be killed by the Divine Devil Hall. Unless he is crazy, I will help you save him. Chapter 49:17 I am little fairy Jiu. Yun Chujio looked at Yuan Ji, who was smiling coldly, and her smile became even more brilliant. Yuan Ji, I'm afraid this matter is out of your hands. Look, the people from the Divine Devil Hall have come looking for you. Yun Chujio pointed to the distance with her finger. Yuan Ji's expression changed. He looked up and saw dozens of people rushing over from afar. The masks on their faces were very familiar. They were all from the Divine Devil Hall. Yuan Ji's heart sank. The people of the Divine Devil Hall should have surrounded Di Baiming and the others in the depths of the wilderness. Why did they suddenly come here? Could it be that they had spies nearby? That was not right. He had sent people to investigate. There were no spies from the Divine Devil Hall nearby. What the hell? He glanced at Yun Chujio and said in a low voice, I'm warning you. Don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I won't be able to save your life. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. Don't worry. I cherish my life very much. I won't talk nonsense. Yuan Ji looked at her suspiciously. He was skeptical, but when he thought about how she had changed her appearance now, the people from the Divine Devil Hall might not be able to recognize her. He might be able to fool them if he tried again. At this time, the dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall had already arrived in front of them. The leader of the golden masked men sized up the crowd and finally, his gaze fell on Yun Chujio. Sir, we are from the Lan family. Our young miss happened to pass by this place when she came out for training. Since your sect has something to deal with here, we won't disturb you, Yuan Ji said politely. The golden masked man frowned. The Lan family? The purple masked man who was in charge of them had mentioned that the Lan family was still useful to them. He told them not to get into conflict with the Lan family. However, the news he received earlier. He sized up Yun Chujio again. I wonder which young miss of the Lan family is this? Just as Yuan Ji was about to casually mention a name, he heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, I am the young miss of the Lan family. I am the fairy of your Divine Devil Hall. Yuan Ji, good, very good. This was what she said about not talking nonsense. At this moment, Yun Chujio took out a bunch of talismans and 2 big sacks of chili and threw them at the people from the Divine Devil Hall. As she threw them, she said, Idiot. This is our Lan family's greeting gift to you. Although Hei Xinjia's talismans were of average quality, there were many of them. No one could withstand so many talismans. Yun Chujio shouted at Yuan Ji, what are you waiting for? Go. If they send a message to their accomplices, we will all die. Yuan Ji was furious. However, he did not have the time to argue with Yun Chujio now. What she said made sense. If they did not kill the dozens of people, they would not be able to escape once reinforcements arrived. It was not that he did not want to explain to these people, but since the troublemaker had done so much, it was useless to explain. Therefore, he gritted his teeth and said to his subordinates, Go. Leave no one alive. Therefore the 2 sides engaged in a battle. Hei Xinjiao had calculated the direction of the wind when she threw the chili. The wind was directed at the people of the Divine Devil Hall, so Yuan Jia's subordinates were not affected at all. In addition, the people of the Divine Devil Hall had been tortured by Yun Chujio's talismans, so Yuan Jia's people quickly gained the upper hand. Chapter 49:18, The 10,000-year-old pit. The golden masked man roared in exasperation. Is the Lan family trying to rebel? Stop it! Hei Xinjiao hid at the back and shouted with her hands on her hips. Dream on. How can the Lan family be on the same side as the Divine Devil Hall? I was just playing with you. You should know that I have the blood of the Lan family flowing in my veins. The Lan family will naturally stand on my side. Let me tell you the truth. The Lan family and Di Biming have the intention of working together from the inside out. Not only will you all die, the rest of you will also die. A bunch of idiots. The golden masked man was both angry and anxious. The Lan family was actually on the same side as Di Biming? No wonder the Lan family had not handed over Yun Chujio after so long. How hateful. The golden masked man did not care much and immediately passed the news to his companions. On one hand, he wanted them to come and rescue him. On the other hand, he wanted them to be on guard against the Lan family and have the opportunity to settle the score with the Lan family. Yuan Ji was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He wanted to explain, but he did not know where to begin. Was it that Yun Chujio did not have the blood of the Lan family? Or was it that he and Yun Chujio were not in cahoots? But how to explain the current situation? For some reason, Yuan Ji had an ominous feeling that he had fallen into a bottomless pit. Could it be that all of this was planned by this troublemaker? At this moment, Yun Chujio shouted, Little ones, put in more effort. Otherwise, when their reinforcements arrive, our lives will be over. Yuan Ji could strangle her to death with hatred. However, he could not deny that she was right. They had to finish the battle as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer they waited, the more dangerous it would be. Therefore, he and his subordinates stepped up their attacks. Hei Xinjiao did not stay idle either. She secretly launched a sneak attack with the purple needles and specifically aimed at the eyes of the people from the Divine Devil Hall. After about an hour, the battle finally ended. Yuan Ji panted and said, Yun Chujio, follow me and leave this place immediately. Otherwise, I will have to take you away by force. Yun Chujio curled her lips. The man with the Jin Mian must have informed the other people from the Divine Devil Hall. If we return to the Lan family now, we will be blocked on the way. It will be a disaster. Give up on that idea. I naturally have a way to avoid the Lan family's block. You leave with me immediately. Yuan Ji shouted sternly, and he planned to make a move and forcefully take Yun Chuzhou away. The smile on Yun Chuzhi's face became even more brilliant. Yuan Ji, since you're already involved in this mess, it's not like you can leave just because you want to. To tell you the truth, I've mixed poison into the chili. The poison that only I can cure is already highly toxic to all of you. If you don't want to die, then listen to me. Are you trying to control me and force me to get the antidote? Unfortunately, I'm not afraid of torture. Moreover, are you confident that you can really catch me? Yuan Ji felt his head buzzing. He said angrily, Yun Chuzhou, you're lying. We're not poisoned. Yun Chuzhou shrugged her shoulders. If you don't believe me, you can shout a few times and see if you feel dizzy. One of Yuan Ji's men immediately shouted a few times and then said in horror, Sir, I really feel dizzy. I'm really poisoned. When the others heard this, a few of them pulled their necks and shouted a few times. Then they also said in horror, I'm really dizzy. We're really poisoned. Chapter 49:19 was all part of her plan. Yun Chuzhou, I advise you to hand over the antidote. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Although Yuan Ji still had some doubts in his heart, he still believed Yun Chuzhou when he thought of her evil schemes. Yuan Ji, do you think that threats are useful to me? You only have one choice now, and that is to listen to me. I promise that as long as I save the gigolo, I will immediately follow you back to the Lan family. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The reason why she dared to lie to them openly was because she was certain that Yuan Ji and the others did not know that shouting for a long time would cause them to be short of oxygen. Moreover, they had fought with the people from the Divine Devil Hall for a long time and had already used up a lot of energy. It would be strange if they did not faint after shouting. Moreover, even if they did not fall for it, she had other ways to make them fall for it. To her, it was a pleasant surprise that Yuan Ji was able to bring his men to catch up to her. Initially, she had wanted to fight alone, but now that she had these helpers, she naturally didn't want to waste them. If Yuan Ji didn't understand Yun Chuzhou, he might really use force. However, he had interacted with Yun Chuzhou several times and knew that this fellow was full of bad intentions. If he used force, he was afraid that it would be useless. Yuan Ji was so regretful that his intestines turned green. If he had known earlier, after the Lan family competition ended, he would have watched this troublemaker and not allowed her to leave the city. His expression changed a few times before he gritted his teeth and said, According to the information I know, there are thousands of people from the Divine Devil Hall gathered in the wilderness. Even if we are willing to help you, we will not be able to save Di Biming. Instead, we will be risking our lives. Yun Chuzhou narrowed her eyes. So what if there are thousands of people? As long as you listen to me, you will definitely be able to achieve our goal. Also, Yuan Ji, do you think that the Lan family and the Divine Devil Temple will be able to maintain their relationship after this incident? According to the Divine Devil Temple's character, they will definitely take revenge on the Lan family. So, you are not helping me, but you are helping yourselves. Because if you kill one more person from the Divine Devil Temple, you will have one less enemy. Yuan Ji was so angry that he was speechless. He felt that he was not a stupid person, but why was he being held back by this darn girl? As if everything was within her calculations. Yuan Ji, don't worry. I value my life the most, so I won't do stupid things that I'm not sure of. You just need to listen to my commands. Yuan Ji thought about it and agreed. This troublemaker valued her life the most, and she had a belly full of bad water, so she should not act rashly. Moreover, if he could contact the Pavilion Master now, according to the Pavilion Master's personality, she would probably be persuaded by this troublemaker. Therefore, he could only grit his teeth and listen to her. Moreover, he could completely listen to her on the surface. When the time came, he might find an opportunity to kill Di Biming. Thinking of this, he said, Okay, I'll listen to you. But if you save Di Biming, you must come back to the Lan family with me. Yuan Ji curled his lips. Surprised? This was obviously a shock. He Xinjiu took out the voice transmission talisman of the Lan family's ancestor and said slyly, Ancestor, long time no see. How is your elder? I'm playing in the wilderness. By the way, Yuan Ji helped me kill dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall. And I've told the people from the Divine Devil Hall that the Lan family and my fiancé are playing a trick of cooperating with each other. They are so angry that they are jumping up and down. It's very interesting. Chapter 49:20. The old ancestor who was about to go mad from anger at the same time, A loud bang came from the study room of the old ancestor of the Lan family. The old ancestor smashed the table into pieces with a palm and almost fainted from anger. He also sent people to look for Yun Chujio, but when he found out later that Yuanji had brought people to look for Yun Chujio, he did not take it to heart. He thought that Yuanji would definitely capture Yun Chujio, but who would have thought that not only did he fail to capture her, he even helped her kill dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall. Was he a pig's brain? In this way the peace on the surface could not be maintained, let alone the future deals. He immediately took out his voice transmission talisman and shouted sternly, "Yun Chujio, get your ass back here right now." A moment later, Zinjia's giggling voice came from the voice transmission talisman, "Old ancestor, I will get my ass back, but I have to kill the rest of the people from the Divine Devil Temple before I go back. I will kill them all. The Divine Devil Temple is in a mess, so they don't have time to find trouble with the Lan family for the time being. Ancestor, I am a member of the Lan family. This is what I should do. You don't have to praise me too much. I will be embarrassed." The ancestor of the Lan family was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Kill the rest of the people from the Divine Devil Temple? As far as he knew, the Divine Devil Temple had sent many people into the Wild Hope Wilderness in recent days. There were at least 3,000 to 4,000 people. Most importantly, these people were elites. She could kill all of them with just the dozens of people that Yuanji had brought. Was she dreaming? The old man wearing a mask appeared silently in the study room. "Master, what happened?" The Lan family's old ancestor gritted his teeth and told her everything, then said, "I thought that Yuanji was smart, but in the end he was tricked by that troublemaker. I'm so angry." The old man was obviously shocked. After a long while he said, "Master, what should we do now? Yun Chujio and Yuanji are not even enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of the Divine Devil Hall. Isn't she courting death?" The old ancestor of the Lan family said angrily, "Since she is courting death, then let her go. Anyway, the Divine Devil Hall killed her. I will deal with her and won't find trouble with the Lan family." The old man nodded and then said with some hesitation, "Master, what if Yun Chujio really killed those people from the Divine Devil Hall? What should we do next?" The old ancestor sneered, "Unless there is a red rain in the sky. She can do it." However, the old ancestor thought of the things that happened in the Zen sect. That troublemaker could even trick the Buddha's candle. Perhaps she could really do it? Thinking of this, he added, "If she can do it, it's not a bad thing. The elites of the Divine Devil Temple are all in the wilderness. If they are all killed by her, the Divine Devil Temple will more or less be in turmoil. They won't have the energy to find trouble with us for a while." You wanted to use her? Then she would give him a taste of his own medicine. After this incident, even if that old fox wanted to send her to the Divine Devil Hall, the Divine Devil Hall would not believe it. Yuanji saw the sinister smile on Yun Chujio's face and touched his hair that was only an inch long. He felt that these days were like a joke. At this moment Yun Chujio said, "Half of you switch your clothes with the corpse. Hurry up." Chapter 49-21, the number 1 female sword immortal in the world. Yuanji and the others had already boarded the pirate ship, so they naturally had to listen to Shinjio. Thus, half of them changed into the clothes and masks of the Divine Devil Hall. Everyone had specially marked the masks so that they would not be accidentally injured by their own people in a chaotic battle. "Yun Chujio, what are you trying to do?" Yuanji asked, confused. "The truth is false and the truth is the truth. In 15 minutes, reinforcements from the Divine Devil Hall will come. Let's give them a good fight," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Yuanji looked at her with a dumbfounded look. "How did you know that someone from the Divine Devil Hall would come in 15 minutes? "I know how to predict. This small matter is not difficult for me. Don't talk nonsense. Let's do it like this later. Do you hear me?" Yuanji looked at the sinister smile on Yun Chujio's face and thought to himself, "This troublemaker is really despicable." When the reinforcements from the Divine Devil Hall arrived, they saw that both sides had casualties and were engaged in a chaotic battle. The leader of the golden masked men shouted at Yun Chujio, "Yun Chujio, you are courting death." Although Yun Chujio had disguised herself, there was only one woman present. That person naturally recognized Shinjio. Yun Chujio waved her hand. Immediately, the people of the Lan family jumped to the side and stood behind her. The people of the Temple of Gods and Demons, on the other hand, stood behind the people of the Temple of Gods and Demons on their own accord. The golden masked man had never dreamed that those people were the people of the Lan family in disguise. Therefore, he only glanced at them briefly and did not take them to heart. He glared at Yun Chujio viciously. Yun Chujio, how dare you? You actually dare to come here and behave atrociously. But this is also good so that we don't have to go through so much trouble to find you. Do you want to surrender or do you want to do it the hard way? Yun Chujio sighed. It seems that I have thought too simply. I did not expect that your divine devil hall has so many people here. However, it is also impossible to make me surrender unless you can defeat me. The golden masked man laughed out loud. Yun Chujio, aren't you afraid that the wind will blow your tongue? You're only at the 3rd level of the extreme spirit realm, but I'm at the 9th level of the extreme spirit realm. Are you sure you want to fight me? Of course I'm sure, unless you're a coward and don't dare to fight me one-on-one. Yun Chujio said provocatively. The golden masked man was instantly angered from embarrassment. If it wasn't for the higher-ups wanting to capture him alive to threaten Beiming, he wouldn't have bothered to waste his breath on her. Since she wanted to die, then he would grant her wish. If he could control this bitch, then the others wouldn't have anything to fear. Thinking of this, the golden masked man sneered, "Alright, then let's fight one-on-one. Let's do it." Hearing this, Yun Chujio summoned little bitch number 1 and stabbed at the golden masked man's heart. The golden masked man pursed his lips. This Yun Chujio actually used a sword instead of a spiritual beast. Is she crazy? The golden masked man did not dodge but released his spiritual beast. A huge spiritual wolf pounced at Yun Chujio with bared fangs and brandished claws. Yun Chujio hurriedly withdrew her sword to dodge and shouted, "Io, you're really powerful. You actually released a spiritual dog." The golden masked man, are you fucking blind? Is that a dog? It's a wolf, okay? Jin Mian kept increasing his attacks and forced Hei Shinjio to retreat. Hei Shinjio said arrogantly, "Do you think I'm afraid of you just because of that? I'll show you what the number 1 female sword immortal in the world is." Although Yuanji was very nervous, his mouth twitched when he heard the shameless words of this guy. This troublemaker was really thick-skinned. Chapter 49-22, Kill the Golden Masked Man and the people from the Divine Devil Hall were also stunned when they heard Yun Chujio's shameless words. The number 1 female sword immortal in the world? Was she still shameless? At this moment, Yun Chujio summoned little slut number 2 to number 9. 8 flying swords suddenly stabbed at the golden masked man's vital points. The people from the Divine Devil Hall cried out in surprise. This Yun Chujio could actually control 8 flying swords at the same time? This spiritual sense was really powerful. Although the golden masked man was also a little surprised, he did not take it too seriously. Although this flying sword was rare, it was definitely not as powerful as a spiritual beast. The two sides once again engaged in a fight. The people of the Divine Devil Hall were all attracted by the fight between Yun Chujio and the Golden Masked Man. The people who blended into the Divine Devil Hall saw Yuan Jie's hand gesture and immediately raised their spiritual shields. Then they threw all the chili noodles at the people of the Divine Devil Hall. At the same time, they attacked the people of the Divine Devil Temple nearby. The people of the Divine Devil Temple did not expect the backyard to be on fire. Their attention was all on Yun Chujio and the Golden Masked Man. They were almost defenseless. Therefore, in just a short moment, the Lan family had killed dozens of people. It was as easy as chopping vegetables. In addition, their costumes were exactly the same as the people of the Divine Devil Temple. For a time, the people of the Divine Devil Temple could not tell who was the enemy and who was the comrade. Many of them were accidentally injured by their own people. Yuan Ji had his subordinates join in the battle as well. He came over to help Yun Chujio. At this moment, Yun Chujio took advantage of the Golden Masked Man's distraction to sneak attack him with a small flame. The Golden Masked Man's right arm was burned into charcoal by the small flame. Before he could say anything, Yuan Ji, who was behind him, killed him with a palm strike. Yun Chujio and Yuan Ji looked at each other. In this battle, it was either one of them or the other. Although they had their own plans, they were the most reliable comrades at this moment. As the Golden Masked Man was killed and they were caught off guard, more than 100 people from the Divine Devil Hall were killed by Yun Chujio and the others. Yuan Ji looked at the dead bodies on the ground and felt a little complicated. Did they really win with fewer people and kill all these people? Moreover, not a single person on his side died? His subordinates looked at each other. This battle was the easiest one for them, right? Especially at the beginning, those people from the Divine Devil Hall were like fools, allowing them to plot against them. It was so cool. Yuan Ji, you guys change into the clothes of the Divine Devil Hall too so that it won't be too eye-catching. As Yun Chujio said that, she put on a set of clothes from the Divine Devil Hall and put on a mask. Yuan Ji asked in confusion, "What use can these corpses be? Why not destroy them?" Yun Chujio glanced at him and said, "Do you have the final say or do I have the final say? If you continue to dawdle, I will make you bald forever." Yun Chujio said coldly, "Yuan Ji, you are ruthless." Yuan Ji reluctantly put the corpses into his storage ring and asked, "Where are we going next?" "Well, find a safe place to rest first, then, well, go and kill people." Yun Chujio said coldly. Yuan Ji cursed in his heart. "Are you sure you're going to kill people? And not be killed by others?" However, he didn't dare to say it out loud. He followed Yun Chujio with a cold face. Finally, they found a place with low shrubs. Yun Chujio motioned for everyone to sit down and rest. However, a moment later she said, "It's not safe here. Let's go somewhere else." Everyone had no choice but to follow her to another place. However, not long after they were asked to follow her to another place. Chapter 49-23 Used me as bait. Yuan Ji couldn't take it anymore. "What on earth are you trying to do? Why are you constantly changing locations?" Yun Chujio looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. "Of course I'm avoiding the pursuers. Otherwise, do you think I have nothing better to do?" "Avoiding the pursuers? Why don't I see any pursuers?" "Wait until you see them. The daylily will be gone. If you don't believe me, you can go to the place where we stayed and take a look secretly," Yun Chujio said with a pout. Yuan Ji was also infuriated by He Xinjiu. He immediately sneaked back and saw a group of people from the Divine Devil Hall from a distance. He was so scared that he hurriedly ran back and looked at Yun Chujio in disbelief. How did you figure it out in advance?" Yun Chujio looked like a fraud and said, "The secrets of heaven cannot be revealed. A mortal like you should not ask." Yuan Ji. Following that, everyone followed Yun Chujio and kept changing locations, but they were never found by the people of the Divine Devil Hall. Whether it was Yuan Ji or his subordinates, they were completely impressed by Yun Chujio's ability. How on earth did she do it? She was too powerful. Yun Chujio looked at their eyes and was secretly happy. These stupid fools. She was relying on the flower belly poison tail spiritual bees. The reason why she arrived 2 days later than Yuan Ji was to catch these little things in the nearby mountains. With the help of these little things, she knew the whereabouts of the people from the Divine Devil Hall like the back of her hand. As for why those people at the beginning suddenly ran to the outer area, it was also because she had written many notes to have the flower-bellied poison-tail spirit bees thrown into the range of activities of those people from the Divine Devil Temple. According to the degree of hatred that those people from the Divine Devil Temple had for her, even if they would doubt the reliability of the information, they would still come out with the intention of killing 1,000 people by mistake rather than letting one go. That was why Yuan Ji had no choice but to cooperate with her. However, these flower-bellied poison-tail spirit bees could only move around in the outer area of the wilderness. There was no way for them to go in. When the time came, she would have to think of other ways. Thinking of the records she had seen in the wilderness, she could not help but smile. While Yun Chujio was thinking, Yuan Ji said, "This is only the outer area, so the Divine Devil Hall only sent a few hundred people to be on guard. Even so, we are not their match, not to mention that there are thousands of people inside. I advise you to follow me back to the Land family." "Yuan Ji, there is no turning back, so don't say anything that will hurt the morale. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Yun Chujio stared at Yuan Ji and said with a stern voice. Yuan Ji was shocked by the murderous aura on Yun Chujio. He wanted to say something but he swallowed it. Yun Chujio slowly said, "Use bait to set up an ambush?" "Use bait to set up an ambush? Then who should be the bait?" Yuan Ji asked. "Who else?" Yun Chujio pointed at her nose. Yuan Ji was stunned and blurted out, "Aren't you the one who cherishes your life the most? Why did you take the risk to be the bait?" Yun Chujio laughed lightly, "Because I'm the most suitable to be the bait, and it's the only way to minimize the casualties. Although we weren't happy in the past, from the moment we worked together, we were comrades. Although I, Yun Chujio, am not talented, I still have the courage and responsibility." Chapter 49-24. Leading the charge. Yuan Ji did not expect Yun Chujio to say such a thing. How could this troublemaker be so responsible? Yuan Ji's subordinates were also stunned. They naturally held a grudge against Yun Chujio. After all, He Xinjiu had poisoned them. It would be a miracle if they did not hate her. However, after hearing what He Xinjiu had said just now, They more or less looked at her in a different light. They were all bloodthirsty people who valued loyalty the most. Therefore they felt that Yun Chujia's ability to use her body as bait had some merits. Yuan Ji looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Seeing that she did not seem to be in a bad mood, he said, "Then tell us what we should do in detail." Yun Chujio immediately told him her plan. Then she curled her lips. "There are about 100 people in the nearest place. Our plan is enough to kill them all. However, we have to finish the battle as soon as possible to prevent the other people from the Divine Devil Hall from coming to support us. Do you understand?" Yuan Ji could not be bothered to ask how Yun Chujio knew about the situation. He nodded. "Since you are the bait, we will not be vague." Yun Chujio nodded. She was afraid of death, but it did not mean that she did not have the courage and responsibility. Moreover, the best way to boost the morale was to lead the troops. As night fell, Yuan Jia's heart was also worried. He did not know if the plan to stir up trouble would work, so he was not sure. Yun Chujio looked at the time and then waved her hand. Everyone followed her to the temporary base of the Divine Devil Hall. When they were about 10 miles away from the temporary base of the Divine Devil Hall, Yun Chujio said to Yuan Ji, "There are a little more shrubs here. It's suitable for hiding. You guys can ambush them here. They'll go and lure them over." Yuan Ji nodded and hesitated for a moment. In the end he said, "Be careful." Yun Chujio smiled brightly. "Don't worry. I don't have any other abilities. It's a piece of cake to anger them. See you later." Yuan Ji looked at Yun Chujio's departing figure and shook his head. Then he arranged for the others to set up an ambush. When Yun Chujio walked about 5 miles, she was discovered by the people in charge of guarding the Divine Devil Hall. Those people were stunned when they saw Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio wore a mask on her face and the clothes of the Divine Devil Hall. Although women were rare among the people of the Divine Devil Hall, it was not unheard of. Therefore they did not attack immediately. Instead they shouted, "Which lord are you under? Why are you here in the middle of the night?" Yun Chujio snorted coldly and gave off a murderous aura. "Who am I? Do you think you can ask me? Call your leader here. Otherwise, if you delay this important matter, I will take your dog lives." The few people were immediately intimidated by He Xingjia's aura. Their hearts were beating fast, but they did not dare to say anything. They immediately sent someone to deliver a letter to their leader. When the golden-masked man saw Yun Chujio, he sized her up suspiciously. "Which hall are you from? Why are you here so late at night?" The reason why the golden-masked man did not suspect that the person in front of him was Yun Chujio was mainly because he did not expect Yun Chujio to put herself in danger in the middle of the night. Yun Chujio did not know the bullshit entrance of the Divine Devil Hall. She had an idea and took out an identity jade token that she had seized and threw it to the golden-masked man. Then she said, "We found Yun Chujio's hiding place and wanted to send you a message, but we were afraid that you would not be able to find the specific location, so our Lord sent me to lead the way for you." Chapter 49-25 was too satisfying. The golden-masked man took the jade token from Yun Chujio's hand and looked at it. He still had some doubts, but on second thought the Lan family only had a few dozen people. Even if there was a conspiracy they were not afraid. If they could capture Yun Chujio alive, it would be a great merit. Thinking of this he said, "Okay, then lead the way. If you dare to play any tricks, HMP." Yun Chujio said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Please return my lord's jade token to me first." The golden-masked man threw the jade token in his hand to Yun Chujio. His suspicion towards Yun Chujio was somewhat dispelled. After all, if there was anything wrong with her identity, she would not still think about returning the jade token. Even so, the golden-masked man still gave his subordinates a look. Immediately, 7 or 8 people surrounded Yun Chujio in the middle in case she ran away. Yun Chujio did not show any signs of panic. She was secretly happy in her heart. Initially she thought that it would take some effort, but she did not expect these idiots to be so gullible. This time it was much simpler. When they were about to reach the ambush circle, in order to prevent the people from the Divine Devil Hall from noticing the ambush ahead, Yun Chujio began to divert their attention and said, "What do you guys think of that, Yun Chujio?" The people who were watching her could not help but show contempt in their eyes. They said one after another, "What's so great about that smelly girl? She's just a rumor. We will capture her alive in a while." "That's right. We are not like those idiots from the other continents. It's a simple matter to deal with her. As long as we capture her, we can use her to blackmail D. Biming. Speaking of D. Biming, he is really something. We have sent 3,000 to 4,000 people this time, and we have been besieging the wilderness for more than a month, but we still haven't caught him. Yun Chujio was proud in her heart. That was her gigolo wanting to catch him? Dream on. Yuan Ji heard the laughter coming from afar, and then he saw He Xingjiu talking and laughing with those people. He was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? Were those people from the Divine Devil Hall blind? Could it be that they didn't recognize the troublemaker as Yun Chujio? Seeing that they were about to enter the ambush, Yun Chujio pointed to the sky and exclaimed, "Oh my God, look, what is that?" Everyone subconsciously looked up. Yun Chujio took the opportunity to leap forward and threw 2 big sacks of chili noodles to them. The people from the Divine Devil Hall were caught off guard. Some of them were choking and crying. The golden-masked man finally realized what was going on and shouted, "She is Yun Chujio. She is that bitch Yun Chujio. Chase after her." The reason why he was so sure was naturally because of the chili noodles. They did not go far before a lot of rapeseed oil was thrown at them from the surrounding bushes. Following that, flames soared into the sky and countless chili peppers were thrown. The people of the Divine Devil Hall were in a panic. In addition to the fact that the ground was very slippery after being splashed with rapeseed oil, many of them were tripped by their companions and fell to the ground. What made things worse was that countless talismans were thrown at them. For a moment, the screams of the people of the Divine Devil Temple could be heard. In less than an hour, all the people of the Divine Devil Temple were killed. Yuan Jie's side did not even have a scratch, let alone a dead person. Everyone looked at each other. How could war be played like this? It was too fucking satisfying. Chapter 49-26. Miserable butt-face Yuan Jie's mood was a little complicated. The biggest contributor to this victory was naturally that troublemaker. She was the one who came up with the scheme and used herself as bait. She was the one who provided the chili noodles, she was the one who provided the rapeseed oil, and she was also the one who provided the talisman seal. They had only put in a little effort. Just as he was about to say something, Yun Chujio shouted sternly, "Retreat! Quickly retreat! The flames here will soon attract people over. We must evacuate as soon as possible." Yuan Ji and the others did not dare to be negligent. They immediately followed Yun Chujio and quickly retreated. A moment later, a team from the Divine Devil Hall rushed to the scene. There were 300 to 400 people in this team. The leader of the team, Jin Mian, stared at the dead bodies on the ground with a gloomy gaze. Then he released a spirit beast that looked like a dog. The spirit beast sniffed around and then chased in a direction that was the direction where Yun Chujio and the others had previously left. The golden-masked man revealed a cold smile. A mere Yun Chujio actually wanted to stir up trouble? She really overestimated herself. Yun Chujio, who was leading the group to retreat, could not help but feel her heart sink when she received the report from a few flower-belly poison-tail spiritual bees. With that spiritual beast, their whereabouts would be exposed. They had to think of a way. "Yuan Ji, is there any spiritual beast that looks like a dog but has a very sensitive sense of smell that is good at tracking?" Yun Chujio asked. Yuan Ji saw that Yun Chujio's expression was not too good, and he immediately had a guess. "You're saying that the people chasing us have the Shaotian hyena? If that's the case, then it's bad. It's rumored that the Shaotian hyena has the Shaotian dog's bloodline. Its sense of smell is extremely sensitive, and it can be tracked by just a little smell." Yun Chujio frowned. "Shaotian hyena? What's its weakness?" "Weakness?" Yuan Ji thought for a moment. He said, "It seems that this kind of Shaotian hyena is mostly female. Therefore, it is very fond of high-level dogs or wolf-type demon beasts. Once it encounters a male dog or wolf-type demon beast, it will lose its mind." Yun Chujio, so it's a love-struck dog. Buttface, who was in the spirit beast bag, suddenly shivered for some reason. He had a bad feeling. At this moment he heard Yun Chujio's malicious voice, "Buttface, you are finally useful." Buttface immediately rolled his eyes and fainted. He would rather be a single dog for the rest of his life than hook up with a love-struck dog. No. Yun Chujio pulled Buttface out. Before she could say anything, Buttface knelt on the ground with tears streaming down his face. Yun Chujio touched her nose guiltily. "Buttface, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I just want you to lure the hyena into the trap. Do you have to be so agitated?" Buttface, so it was just a seduction. It scared him to death. He thought he was going to make him contribute his pure flesh and body. Little fairy, I'm an ancient fierce beast after all. Such a shameful thing is not suitable for me. I think you can find a male wolf's body for Qiying and let him have a try, said Buttface while blinking his dog eyes. Yun Chujio glared at him and said, "Stop talking nonsense. If I tell you to go, then go. Otherwise, it'll teach you a lesson. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.